Chapter 162. Yang Chun felt rather helpless when he saw Jane's sudden change in expression, but he didn't know how to comfort her. Forcing a smile, he said, "Why are you like this? It's not illegal for me to get married. Men and women should get married when they're of age. That's what the Chinese say." Jane lowered her head and wiped the corners of her eyes before looking up and saying, "Yes, I should congratulate you. Our queen of the underworld, Lady Persephone, should be a very beautiful woman. Very beautiful. But she doesn't know that she has such a strange title. I also hope that she will never know in this life," Yang Chung said. Jane bit her lip. "This means that you really love her. Rather than love, it's a kind of responsibility between husband and wife. I don't want some dirty things to cover her pure soul with dust. It seems that you really enjoy your life now," Jane said with some regret. "I think everyone will be very disappointed. Many of them are looking forward to the day you return." Yang Chung shook his head. "I never said that I would leave everyone. It's just that I need a relatively relaxed environment now. You're the one who understands my situation the best. You should understand." Jane asked worriedly, "Is the illness still acting up? Sometimes it's difficult to control, but as long as I don't overuse my extraordinary strength, it's still very healthy. I'm sorry. I've always said that I would help you get rid of this shackle, but you've worked very hard. I don't think anyone in this world can help me suppress the illness to this extent except for you." Yang Chung smiled comfortingly. "By the way, how did you have time to come to Hong Kong? Catherine can't do without you." Humph. At the mention of Catherine, a playful expression appeared on Jane's face again. "That old woman just wants to slack off and leaves everything to me to deal with. I gave her a lesson this time. I dumped all my business and planned to go on a trip around the world. I came to Hong Kong because one of my students, Little Lee, is here. He has been inviting me to see his new results, so I just happened to have time. So that's how it is," Yang Chung said thoughtfully. Jane giggled, and her body, which was wrapped in a tight Chong Sam, trembled charmingly. "Our beloved king, do you think that we would have the guts to look for you when you explicitly ordered us not to look for your specific whereabouts? I believe that even if many people knew that they had bumped into you by chance, they would still escape as soon as possible before you realized it to avoid your suspicions." Yang Qing looked slightly embarrassed. "Don't think that way. I'm not that scary. Actually, I'm still very happy to see you." "Really?" Jane asked in surprise. "Then can I go to Zhonghai to find you next time? I also have a student, Green, who is in Zhonghai." All right. He is working on the same project as Li Zi." Yang Chung remembered the business at hand. "I'm currently working for Lei International. In other words, it's best if Li Guangxuan's research results can be put to good use. Green is currently working for another competitor, and you are their teacher. Can you help me mediate between them? I might as well let them all work for me, so that I won't have to poach them again next time." Jane tapped her chin and thought for a moment before saying, "If you order me as the king, I can ask Green and Lee to work together. Most of their achievements today were given by me, so I can definitely do that. But if this is a request for help, then I can't do it. Because in this industry, it's very shameful for an expert to betray his employer. Unless Green is willing, otherwise, as his teacher, I will be doing something that will let him down." Yang Chung nodded in agreement. "What you said makes sense. Then let's do it this way. At most, you can give Li Guangxuan a little more guidance and let him develop faster. Then it won't be a big problem." "Actually, there are other ways," Jane said easily. Jane said casually, "If you want to develop new environmentally friendly materials, I can provide a lot of ready-made, undisclosed technologies. Those technologies will be enough to help your company become one of the world's leading companies." Yang Chung knew that this young woman was not lying. She had been given the title of Genius Girl since she was young. All these years, she had been a low-key woman who walked the world's most cutting-edge scientific research in various industries. Only she was too lazy to research. Whatever she researched, it was often a huge breakthrough, and many of these results would be thrown aside or destroyed by her. In her words, she didn't want the world to progress too fast, which would lead to the widening of the social class gap caused by technology. The two talked for a while. Jane suddenly thought of something and asked, "Yang Chung, How long will you be staying in Hong Kong? About 3 days. 3 days. Jane thought for a while. 3 days it is. I want to make something for you. Maybe it will help you. Yang Cheng didn't know what Jane would make, but he didn't ask since Jane didn't say. The two talked for more than half an hour. When they returned to the main entrance of the research institute, Li Muhua, Li Guangxuan, and Mo Qianni and others were already waiting. Mo Qianni saw Yang Cheng and Jane talking and laughing all the way. She felt more and more uncomfortable, but she still smiled at Jane out of courtesy. Jane had also noticed Mo Qianni standing next to Yang Cheng. From her Western point of view, Mo Qianni's beauty was not very outstanding. It was mainly because Jane had seen too many beautiful women on a daily basis. In contrast, the graceful and intellectual side of Mo Qianni was more worthy of her attention. Jane, who had extraordinary insight, noticed the jealousy in Mo Qianni's eyes. She immediately understood something and smiled at Yang Cheng. "Teacher, you're finally here. Let's go to the restaurant." Li Guangxuan smiled happily and invited Jane to get in the car. Jane frowned slightly. "Little Li, since you're developing an important project, leave the research institute after the research is finished. I will come back to check your research results after dinner." Li Guangxuan made an sound, but when he heard that Jane would check his research results again, he immediately became energetic. The frustration of not being able to have dinner with the teacher he admired was gone, and he ran back to the research institute happily. Li Muhua kindly suggested, "Miss Jane, in fact, fourth uncle has been very hard for the past few months. It's good to go out and relax occasionally." "Sorry, I never listen to other people's opinions in terms of academics and education," Jane said politely and took the initiative to sit in the car. Li Muhua was speechless. Although she was angry, she knew that this was definitely not someone she could provoke. She had to force a smile and command everyone to set off. The restaurant that Li Muhua chose to entertain Jane was a famous Western restaurant in Kowloon, Hong Kong, close to the Blue Sea. The entire restaurant was designed with reference to the Western Gothic church, but the overall length was extended. The towering spires and flashy stone pillars were well used everywhere. The mottled floral glass windows exuded a sorrowful and solemn atmosphere. But when the bright sunlight shone through the windows into the dining room, the quaint oriental style of the surrounding design resonated with each other, creating a sense of harmony. They came to a reserved round table with a view of the sea. After everyone sat down, they quickly ordered a set of Western dishes. While waiting for the waiter to serve the dishes, Li Muhua, as the host, was already a little scared, but she still forced herself to ask, "I don't know how Miss Jane and Mr. Yang met. Could it be that the two of you have worked together before?" This question also troubled several people present, especially Mo Qianni. It was really difficult for her to put Yang Cheng together with such a woman. After all, the temperament, speech, and behavior of the two were too different. "We just met a few times when I was abroad. Mr. Yang helped me a little, so we got to know each other," Jane said very generously. Everyone came to a sudden realization. That kind of work must be laborious work. Li Muhua felt that maybe Yang Cheng had helped Jane kill someone. After all, Yang Chen's combat power was unusually terrifying to him. The few of them chatted on and off, and when the waiters served the dishes, the originally lazy Yang Cheng suddenly felt that something was off. Sitting on his right was the fat Lu Tao. He was the first to serve the dishes. At this moment, he had already picked up the knife and fork, looking at the main dish that the waiter had brought, and was ready to eat. The waiter held a big plate in his left hand and a white towel in the other hand. He came with a gentle smile. Yang Cheng stood up and suddenly stood between the waiter and Lu Tao. "Mr. Yang, what's wrong?" Lu Tao asked doubtfully. He didn't have time to eat breakfast, so he was very hungry. Several others also showed a confused look. Only Jane seemed to think of something and stood up slowly. The waiter smiled and asked Yang Cheng, "Sir, what can I do for you?" Yang Cheng pointed to the white towel in his right hand. "I need your towel." The waiter smiled politely. "There's a guest towel on your seat." "I want this one," Yang Cheng said with a faint smile. The waiter's eyes showed a little confusion at first, but he finally nodded and extended his hand with the towel to Yang Cheng. "Sir, you can take it if you want." Thank you. After Yang Chung said that, he stretched out his hand like lightning and slapped the waiter's right little arm. Bang! Almost at the same time, a gunshot came from the waiter's right towel. The white towel was smashed, and the waiter was holding a revolver in his right hand. The bullet that was shot at that moment was supposed to hit Yang Cheng's chest, but because of Yang Cheng's timely shot, the bullet directly hit the dome. Ah! Exclamations sounded in the restaurant. The guests ran away, scurried, and more began to hide under the tables and the corners of the walls. After all, gunshots were too terrifying for the general public. Seeing the whole hall was in a mess, the waiter who failed to shoot Yang Chung took a step back with a gloomy face. He aimed at Yang Chung fiercely and shot again. Yang Chung wouldn't give him the chance. Before he aimed, Yang Chung had moved behind him unconsciously and hit him on the back of the neck, knocking the waiter out. What's going on? Li Muhua shouted in shock and anger. He didn't bring a few bodyguards, and they were all outside the restaurant. Fatty Lu Tao was so scared that he hid under the table. Mo Qian's face was also pale. She subconsciously ran to Yang Chung. Yang Chung covered her by his side and said to the crowd, "Be careful. The killer move is too simple. There should be accomplices." Without waiting for Yang Chung to finish his sentence, the chubby middle-aged couple who were hugging earlier suddenly stood up. Each of them had a Colt pistol in their hands, and they aimed at Yang Chun and Li Muhua with murderous intent. Chapter 163. Killers weren't scary. What was scary was that you didn't think that this person was a killer. The middle-aged couple had been sitting not far from the table since the beginning. They were whispering and eating ordinary food like other guests. The clothes of the two were also the clothes of ordinary upper-class families in Hong Kong. There was nothing special about them. Their looks couldn't be picked out in a crowd at all. However, it just so happened that these two inconspicuous people were the fatal core of this sudden gunshot. At the critical moment, everyone held their breath. The two killers, who were pretending to be a couple, showed their fierceness and were about to shoot at Yang Chung and Li Muhua. Bang, bang. After two consecutive gunshots, the scene became crazy again. The guests who escaped from the restaurant didn't care what happened. They only knew to leave this horrible place as soon as possible. Li Muhua had closed his eyes and was ready to die. He wasn't Yang Chung. He had no time to run away, let alone kill the two killers. However, after the gunshots, Li Muhua was surprised to find that he didn't suffer any damage and missed. Li Muhua opened his eyes, and the scene in front of him sent a chill down his spine. He didn't know when, but there were two smoking, bloody holes on the foreheads of the killer couple. The gun holes directly penetrated between their eyebrows. The two killers opened their eyes angrily and fell down. The guns in their hands were still ready to pull the trigger. Jane, who had been standing in the same place and watching everything calmly, was holding an exquisite Swiss-made pocket pistol that had just been fired. This pistol was only more than 5 centimeters long, but it had amazing power in a short distance. At the critical moment, just now, it was Jane who calmly killed the two killers and saved Li Muhua's life. Li Muhua felt that the bones in his whole body were as heavy as lead in an instant. He slumped to the ground. He, who had walked around the edge of death again, was about to collapse. Mo Qian was also scared and broke into a cold sweat. Seeing that it was Jane who saved Yang Chung, she was grateful and envious. She didn't even have the right to be jealous of such a woman. "Are you all right?" Yang Chung asked gently while caressing Mo Qian's face, which had turned pale due to the shock. Mo Qian felt sweet in her heart. In the face of danger, the first person he cared about was her, not Jane. This showed that she was at least not inferior to Jane in his heart. This made Mo Qian suddenly realize that her worries were groundless. If Yang Chung was the kind of man who would despise her birth, how could he help her again and again without asking for anything in return? Even a super beauty like Jane, who was both intelligent and beautiful, would not have special treatment in his eyes. She was herself. There was no need to compare herself with others. Mo Qian was filled with boundless confidence again. She smiled brightly and said, "With you here, I believe everything will be fine." Yang Chung didn't understand why this woman suddenly became so cheerful. While feeling puzzled, He nodded in relief. What the hell is going on? Why does someone want to kill us again? Isn't Li Muqing dead? Lu Tao jumped up and shouted after a false alarm. Li Muhua gasped with anger burning in her eyes. It's Su Jihong. As expected, he won't let us form an alliance so easily. Su Jihong. Lu Tao curled his lips and cursed. Damn it. This was absolutely a vile method of competition that could not be any more vile. What should we do? If we go back to Zhonghai, won't it be more dangerous? That won't happen. Mo Chinny came to herself and immediately analyzed carefully. If we go back to Zhonghai, Su Jihong will never dare to do anything. Because of the special social environment of Hong Kong, underworld means can often be suppressed. But think about it. In Zhonghai, the Su family is just one of the top 5 families. Any loophole that can be attacked will be used by the other big families to suppress them. After all, in politics and military, the Su family is not as strong as the other families. They will never dare to use unconventional means to compete with us, which is not in line with their overall interests. Li Muhua agreed. Yes, Miss Mo's analysis is very correct. But even in Hong Kong, the Su family can't hire killers to attack you so easily. In the next few days, I will not let any fly disturb your fun. At this time, several bodyguards hurriedly ran to Li Muhua's side. After being reprimanded by Li Muhua ordered again, immediately mobilize all the most elite brothers. If there are any accidents in the next few days, you will have to deal with it yourself. In addition, contact Mr. Jiang of Hongqing. I need his power to supervise all the underground killers in and out of Hong Kong. After that, Li Muhua turned around and bowed to Jane, who had been quietly drinking black tea. Thank you for saving my life, Miss Jane. Jane put down the teacup elegantly, like the most ancient noble in the palace. Don't thank me. I just did the rough work. It was Yang Chung who found out the killer and reminded them that there was an accomplice. This reminded everyone, and they all looked at Yang Chung in confusion. Why did he find out that the waiter was a killer so strangely? And he seemed to know the killer's assassination methods very well. Yang Chung touched his nose. This Jane was really low-key. She was so low-key that she wanted to push all the good things to others. Wasn't she looking for trouble for herself? It's just that I have a good memory. Usually, waiters in Western restaurants will not change a table of customers once they've identified them. It's for the sake of collecting reasonable tips. The waiter just now was different from the first one, and the towel he took was not hung on his wrist according to the rules, but covered his hand. Well, I just watched too many detective movies, and I was a little scared these days, so I was more focused. Yang Chung casually explained. In fact, with his many years of experience, he could feel the difference just from the murderous aura. However, this was also because the level of the killer Su Jihong hired was too low. A real master would not reveal his murderous aura so easily. Knowing that Yang Chung was not an ordinary person, Li Muhua did not ask too much, afraid that Yang Chung would be unhappy. She said a few words of gratitude, and the matter was over. In Zhonghai, the continuous autumn rain made the whole sky gray and the whole ground wet. In the Su family's Donghua Technology Building, the door of Su Jihong's CEO office was pushed open by a strong force. Furball had a cigarette in his mouth and a pair of long leather rain boots. He strode into the large office with a beautiful cashmere carpet. Su Jihong looked up and looked at Furball up and down. How many times have I told you to knock before entering? Also, I don't blame you for wanting to wear such a pair of broken rain boots, but can't you take them off before entering my office? Do you know that this carpet is enough to buy you a few thousand pairs of shoes? Furball grinned. He was already used to being criticized by his boss, so he did not care at all. Boss, you don't know how to do a secretary. Even if I see you doing it, it's not a big deal. At most, we'll do it together. Why knock on the door? It's a waste of time. As for the carpet, I don't want it. I want rain boots. Ignorant man. Su Jihong muttered dejectedly. He was also very helpless with this subordinate of his, but at a critical moment, he really could not do without him. He could only ask about serious matters. How's the situation in Hong Kong? It didn't work. I don't know where a Caucasian woman came from, but she took care of the couple. Her shooting skills are sharp, TSK. I wonder if she's also good in bed. Furball sighed. Caucasian. Su Jihong thought about it. Try to find out who that Caucasian woman is. Also, don't stop monitoring Muyun Research Institute. Don't miss any opportunity to capture Li Guangxuan. Furball agreed. Boss, do you want to send a few more killers? That young brat is quite tough. He's still alive. There's no need. Su Jihong stood up and walked to the reinforced glass floor-to-ceiling window. He looked at the concrete forest in Zhonghai that was shrouded in the rain and said, Hong Kong is the Li family's headquarters. They're the local tyrant. Hongxing, East Star, and the Small Sword Society are all their allies. We only have one chance. Any more, and we'll just be a joke. Furball scratched his head disapprovingly. So we're just going to let go? Of course I can't. However, there are some things that can be done. It doesn't necessarily have to succeed. Again, I don't understand. Furball muttered and walked out of the office in wet rain boots, forgetting to close the door. 2 nights later, in the cafe of the Li family Sunset Villa, Yang Cheng and Jane sat on opposite sides of the coffee table in the corner. The fragrance of pure Blue Mountain lingered in the air. You're not really just asking me to come out for a cup of coffee, are you? Yang Cheng asked with a smile when he saw Jane not saying anything. Jane pursed her thin lips. Why? Do you miss Miss Mo? Don't worry, it won't take too much of your time. Besides, you guys are going back to Zhonghai tomorrow, and I'm leaving Hong Kong. That's not what I mean. Although Qianni is a woman I care about, we're not that close. Yang Cheng knew that Jane was joking, so he didn't mind. I'm just hesitating whether or not to give you the gift that I've developed in the past 2 days. Jane took a deep breath and revealed a wise smile. I've decided. I'll give it to you. As she spoke, she took out a dark yellow plastic bottle from the pocket of her jeans. There was no label on the bottle, and it was the size of a thumb. What is this? Medicine? Yang Cheng picked up the bottle and pinched the cap. There were about a dozen dark brown pills inside. Jane's expression was a little complicated. I've been studying how to control and eradicate your strange disease for the past few years. Although I haven't been able to come up with a perfect solution, I've generally understood some basic principles through enough experiments. This is the final pill that I completed last month. I didn't give a name because there's no need for it. It only serves you. What's its use? Yang Cheng asked softly. It can forcibly stabilize you when you can't control yourself, but the more you use it, the weaker the effect will be. And it may be accompanied by a more violent negative effect next time, Jane said slowly. In other words, this was a kind of slow-acting poison. It could prevent you from feeling pain and going crazy for a short period of time, but in the end, you might completely lose your humanity because of it. Yang Cheng was silent, and then he smiled bitterly. Are you harming me or saving me? You can choose not to use it. I took it out because I don't want to hide anything from you. Jane looked at Yang Cheng with a little hope. You know me. I can't refuse it. Of course, I hope not to use it. With that, Yang Cheng put the bottle into his pant pocket. Jane sighed. I knew it. Chapter 164. The plane from Hong Kong back to Zhonghai landed at 10 o'clock at night. The air ticket at night was relatively cheaper, so even if you always flew business class, it was impossible to buy a daytime ticket for you every time. Walking out of the airport, Lu Tao and his little assistant said goodbye to Yang Cheng at the entrance of the domestic arrival building. This time, the fat man suffered a lot on this business trip. He was frightened and didn't have many chances to enjoy the sweet days with his honey. Mo Qianni breathed the damp and cold air of Zhonghai at night and said faintly, Are you going home? Yang Cheng nodded. Do you want me to send you? No, my car is also in the parking lot, and it's not good. Mo Qianni suddenly winked at Yang Cheng. Even if you were a mistress, you should be aware. You haven't seen the legal wife for a week, and I can't disturb your reunion. Saying this sentence itself was a kind of sour taste, and Yang Cheng was a little embarrassed. Mo Qianni stepped forward, opened her soft arms, and gave Yang Cheng a hug, breathed the man's scent, and then let go. She took a few steps back and waved at Yang Cheng. Although I'm very reluctant, goodbye. After that, Mo Qianni turned around and walked towards the garage with her suitcase. Her slim figure looked confident and independent under the light at night. Yang Cheng watched her go away with emotion. After tonight, The next time they met in the company, they could only get along as colleagues with a tacit understanding. This kind of buried feelings was obviously unfair to Imo Chinny, but Yang Chung, who had never dealt with this kind of emotional problem, could only let nature take its course. Returning to the villa in Dragon Garden, the light in the hall was on. Yang Chung threw the suitcase to the corner, thinking that it was Mother Wong who was waiting for him. But when he walked closer, the person sitting on the sofa was Lin Ruashi. Lin Ruashi was dressed in a pink, heavy cotton pajamas and pajama pants that were painted with colorful spots. Her hair was loose as she sat on the moon-white sofa with a fashion magazine in her hand. She seemed quiet and gentle, and her usual cold aura seemed to have disappeared without a trace. Lin Ruashi raised her head when she saw Yang Chun entering the room. Under the light, her flawless face looked like a pure crystal. There wasn't a single trace of emotion on it, as if she didn't see him at all. She blinked her eyes and nodded as a greeting. Yang Chung smiled bitterly. He originally thought that his precious wife had suddenly changed and wanted to be a good wife and mother, waiting for her husband to come home at night. But from the looks of it, she didn't take him seriously at all. Yang Chung walked up and looked at Lin Ruashi's cute pajamas with interest. "You're already an adult, so you should wear sexy pajamas. This pajamas is more suitable for a little girl. This is a gift from my grandmother, and I'm used to it." Lin Ruashi continued to look at the magazine without blinking. "When you buy books, you look like a nouveau riche. I didn't expect you to be so thrifty. Today is my grandmother's birthday. When I miss her, I'll wear this pajamas." Lin Ruashi put the magazine aside and said calmly, "Also, I don't need to buy clothes because the company itself sells clothes." Yang Chung suddenly understood. No wonder Lin Ruashi prepared so many brand new clothes for him in his room. So she didn't need to spend much effort at all. She just needed to get a batch from the fashion department store of Yulei International. Picking up the brewed coffee from the coffee table, Lin Ruashi took a sip and asked, "Did the negotiation go smoothly? Are you asking about the process or the result? Is there a difference?" Lin Ruashi asked. "Yes, the process was thrilling and complicated, but the result was smooth, and we completed the task." Yang Chung replied. Lin Ruashi stared at him for a while. "Can you tell me the thrilling and complicated part?" "Oh, it's nothing much. It's just a small conflict within the Li family. Then Su Jihong, that little bastard, as a competitor, caused us a little trouble," Yang Chung casually said. Lin Ruashi suddenly stood up and raised her voice by a few pitches. Her eyes flickered as she looked at Yang Chun. Her pretty face was covered in frost. Assassination in the middle of the night, biochemical bomb, kidnapping and blackmailing, Li Muching being shot to death. Are those small conflicts? Being shot by 3 killers in the Nine Dragons Western restaurant. That's a small problem? Yang Chung, do you think I don't know anything? Do you think I'm a little girl that can be easily fooled? Yang Chung chuckled. You're indeed the boss of Yulei International. You didn't go to Hong Kong, but you know every move in Hong Kong like the back of your hand. That's right. But since you already know, why are you asking me? I want to know if you'll tell me the truth. Now I know I lied. Yang Chung spread his hands, but I don't think it's a big deal. After all, it's just a small matter. It shouldn't trouble our General Lin. Lin Ruashi felt wronged when she saw Yang Chen's indifferent face. She had always been worried about them. She even had nightmares in her sleep for the past few days. However, not only did this fellow refuse to tell her the truth, he even responded to her in such a frivolous manner. "So many things happened. Why didn't you call me?" Lin Ruashi's eyes were a bit red as she calmly asked. Yang Chung said with a serious face, "We're the ones being attacked and in danger, not you. If I called you, what could you do? Do you want us to go back to Zhonghai directly? Or do you want to come to Hong Kong personally and work with us against the bombs and bullets? But I'm your superior. Shouldn't you report such a big matter to me?" Lin Ruashi angrily said. "I'm sorry. If you're asking me as a superior, then I think the only thing I need to report is about my work. I've just reported to you that I've overfulfilled my task. As for what happened to me, it's my personal affair, so I don't think I need to report it to you, General Lin." Yang Chung paused for a moment and then continued, "If you're asking me as a wife, then when your husband's life is in danger and you happen to know about it, You should be the first one to call to ask if he's safe, not me. I won't tell you because I'll take my family's worries into consideration. But if you don't call to ask about my safety, then it's not my problem. Yang Cheng's words were like exploding thunders that stunned Lin Ruoxi. Although she was worried about Yang Cheng and Mo Qin's safety, she never thought about calling them first. Since young, it was always others who cared about her, but she never thought about calling them first. Firstly, it was because of her outstanding ability to grasp the vast majority of situations. Secondly, it was because her heart was covered with ice and snow, making it hard for her to take the initiative to care for others with her cold personality. This kind of reverse thinking made Lin Ruoxi very uncomfortable. She knitted her brows and stubbornly defended herself. I'm just concerned about you out of goodwill. How can you talk to me like this? Yang Cheng sneered. General Lin's concern is really special. But I, Yang Cheng, am just a small fry who sells mutton skewers. It doesn't matter even if I die in Hong Kong. On the contrary, it can make General Lin have one less burdensome idiot husband. So, General Lin, you better accept my kindness. Yang Cheng, you. Lin Ruoxi was furious. Under her loose pajamas, her chest was heaving up and down. She looked at Yang Cheng with tears in her eyes, but she couldn't say a word. He thought that he would be able to have a good night's sleep when he got home. He missed Lin Ruoxi after not seeing her for a long time, but he didn't expect to start a quarrel with Lin Ruoxi after just a few words. Yang Cheng wasn't a saint. He couldn't tolerate a woman's coldness, mockery, and contempt. But when it came to a matter of life and death, Lin Ruoxi had to put herself in a position to look down and ask what happened. In reality, she understood everything, which made it hard for Yang Cheng to accept. She might have rejected this cheap husband of hers, but fortunately, nothing would happen to him. But Mo Qin was her best friend. She wouldn't think of comforting her, which made Yang Cheng angry. To put it bluntly, this woman was too insensible. Yang Cheng resisted the urge to rush up to Lin Ruoxi and spank her butt. He took a deep breath and said in a deep voice, "Who is right and who is wrong? You should reflect on it yourself. People always make mistakes, and what's terrible is not being repentant. You have money and looks, but it doesn't mean that everyone has to flatter you and circle around you. At least as a husband, I don't want a wife like you." Speaking until here, Yang Cheng turned around and walked towards the door of the villa. Seeing that Yang Cheng was about to leave as soon as he got home, Lin Ruoxi felt a pain in her chest. Yes, I'm not only his superior, but also his wife. She gradually realized that what she did wasn't good enough, and what she said was too unreasonable. But the inherent pride in her heart didn't allow her to let go of herself to keep Yang Cheng. Go, it's best if you don't come back, Lin Ruoxi said in a low voice as she sobbed. Yang Cheng's hearing was extremely good. Although it was as soft as a mosquito, he could still hear it clearly. He turned around and sneered. Don't worry, other women are begging me to go. Having said that, Yang Cheng walked out of the room without looking back, slamming the door shut with a loud bang. In the living room, when Lin Ruoxi heard the sound of the door slamming, her body suddenly went soft. As if she had used up all her strength, she directly sat on the fluffy carpet and tears flowed out. Chapter 165. On the second floor of the villa, the door that was left ajar was opened. Mother Wang slowly walked out in beige pajamas. Seeing Lin Ruoxi crying alone downstairs, Mother Wang sighed and slowly walked downstairs. Coming to Lin Ruoxi, Mother Wang squatted down and patted Lin Ruoxi's shoulders. Miss, don't cry. It's bad for your health if you cry too much. Mother Wang. Lin Ruoxi raised her head with tears in her eyes. Looking at Mother Wang, who had a loving expression on her face, she threw herself into Mother Wang's arms and sobbed. Mother Wang, Yang Cheng said he doesn't want me. He went to find another woman. Wang Ma patted Lin Ruoxi's back and said warmly, Miss, young master was just saying that out of anger. If he really didn't want you, he wouldn't have said so much to you. His love for you is deep, and his responsibility is deep. At this moment, Lin Ruoxi was like a little girl crying to her elders. She didn't have the air of a CEO of a big company at all. She was so fragile that it made people want to love her. I also know that I didn't do well enough, but why was he so fierce? I was just scared. His smile was so cold, and I felt my heart hurt. Miss, I heard everything from upstairs. You shouldn't treat young master the way you treat in the company. Mother Wong touched Lin Ruoshi's long hair and wiped away the tears at the corner of her eyes. She said softly, Mother Wong didn't study much, but in my opinion, a woman has to go through many stages in her life. There's love, marriage, being a wife, giving birth to children, being a mother. When these things are done well, when a woman gets old, she'll feel that her life is fulfilling and satisfying. No matter how successful she is in her career, as a woman, there won't be much to reminisce about in the end. I also want to live a good life, but he's always so unmotivated. I get anxious and can't help but get angry. Lin Ruoshi murmured, Miss, it's useless for you to force young master if he doesn't want to make progress. The important thing is that young master has you in his heart. Look, didn't young master take the initiative to go on a business trip for Boss Zhang's matter? This means that he cares about you and is jealous of Boss Zhang. Mother Wong smiled and said, Since this can make the son-in-law seriously participate in the work, there will always be other ways to improve this problem in the future. Rushing it will only make the son-in-law feel disgusted. Lin Ruoshi agreed, but then said gloomily, But he has so many ambiguous relationships with so many women. Just in the company alone, I heard that he has an unusual relationship with 3 women in the public relations department, not to mention outside. How can I trust him? Mother Wong smiled bitterly and said, Miss, don't blame Mother Wong for being too talkative. Ever since you got married, the son-in-law hasn't even stepped into your bedroom, let alone the intimate things you do between husband and wife on a daily basis. Son-in-law is a normal man. He has a wife, but he can't touch her. If he can't touch her, wouldn't that be asking for his life? Miss, if a beautiful clock can't turn, a beautiful dress can't be worn, and a luxurious car can't be driven, it doesn't have much meaning. You can't ask the son-in-law to keep you like an antique and wait for the day when the price goes up, right? Mother Wong, what antique? Sell it? It sounds awful. Lin Ruoshi blushed and pouted coquettishly. Mother Wong smiled and stretched out her hands to hold Lin Ruoshi's delicate face. Miss, think about it. In the whole of Zhonghai, how many girls can be compared to you? If you give young master a little something, he won't have the mood for other women. At that time, everything will be easy. Even if Miss doesn't use those little tricks, young master might still go to work properly. Really? Lin Ruoshi was a little moved. Of course. Mother Wong struck the iron while it was still hot. These are all from Mother Wong's experience. Men, after all, have simple thoughts. Who doesn't want to perform well in front of the woman they like? What I'm afraid of is that the woman won't reciprocate even if he performs well. What Miss needs to do now is to let young master understand that Miss cares about him too. It'll be good if he has the motivation to continue working hard. Lin Ruoshi blinked in confusion. Mother Wong, I'm going to say something. Don't dislike it. Are you using your own experience to teach me? Mother Wong was at a loss for words. She stammered and said with an unnatural expression, Although I, Mother Wong, don't have much experience to teach Miss, and I'm not a good role model. I'm old and I naturally know more about these things. I know more about the fickleness of the world and the fickleness of human nature than Miss. Moreover, since young, when have I, Mother Wong, ever lied to Miss? Lin Ruoshi nodded on Sheen. She asked hesitantly, But he seems to be really angry now. What if he doesn't come back? Then go look for him. Mother Wong helplessly stroked Lin Ruoshi's head. Miss, you can't always let young master take the initiative to interact with you. A husband and wife should love each other. The ancients said that helping each other in times of hardship is the same principle. Should I invite him home? Lin Ruoshi pouted awkwardly. Wang Ma said earnestly, Miss, in this world, there's no bond more sacred, more beautiful, and more sincere than that of a husband and wife. Parents will leave one day, friends and relatives won't always be together, and children will also fly to the sky that belongs to them when they grow up. Only a loving husband and wife will grow old together and walk to the end. So, when you've decided on a partner, You must cherish him. Lin Ruoshi listened in silence. After leaving the villa, Yangcheng wasn't as angry as Lin Ruoshi imagined him to be. As soon as he stepped out of the door, Yangcheng let out a long sigh. He was also trembling with fear for what he said earlier. After all, when he first met Lin Ruoshi, he had seen her unyielding character. She was a woman who would jump off a building without hesitation. If he killed his wife with just a few words, he would be in big trouble. However, this couldn't be helped. From Yangcheng's point of view, Lin Ruoshi was intelligent in most aspects. However, in terms of emotional intelligence, she was pitifully weak. She needed to be taught well. Otherwise, she would be a highly intelligent vase that was still empty inside. Of course, since he was already out of the door, even if Yangcheng wanted to save face, he couldn't go back so soon. Hence, he drove away from Dragon Garden and went straight to the Rose Bar where Qiangwei was. Qiangwei's daily routine was very unstable. When Yangcheng arrived at her fragrant boudoir, this beautiful woman who became the underground queen of the West District after settling the West Union Society was lying on the bed watching a movie. Qiangwei's schedule was very unstable. When Yangcheng arrived at her fragrant boudoir, this beautiful woman who became the underground queen of the West District after settling the West Union Society was lying on the bed watching a movie. Seeing Yangcheng suddenly enter the door, it undoubtedly gave Qiangwei a pleasant surprise. She leaped from the bed and threw herself into Yangcheng's embrace. Seeing Yangcheng suddenly enter the door, it undoubtedly gave Qiangwei a pleasant surprise. She leaped from the bed and threw herself into Yangcheng's embrace. Why are you suddenly asking this? Even when you were in Zhonghai, you would often ignore me for a week. Qiangwei said quietly. Yangcheng blushed with shame. This woman's emotional intelligence was really high. With just a simple sentence, it made him feel a sense of guilt and tenderness towards her. He couldn't help but want to dote on her even more. There was no point in talking too much. Yangcheng decided to finish his business before talking about other things. Hugging Qiangwei's increasingly plump and soft body, after a few hundred rounds of sex on the bed, the muslin nightgown that covered Qiangwei's body had long since been thrown to who knows where. That rosy body was tightly pressed against Yangcheng's chest. She was panting and her eyes were half closed. The pair of round and soft breasts were squeezed into two large hemispheres. The small grapes on the top would occasionally give Yangcheng a strong sense of pleasure because of the rubbing. Although Yangcheng had Mo Qianni to accompany him these days, the relationship between the two was still in the nurturing stage. Moreover, it was a business trip, so he couldn't just casually push her down. Mo Qianni also couldn't easily overcome the hurdle of Lin Ruoshi, so she had been suppressing her masculinity. After finally getting a release from Qiangwei's body, Yangcheng comfortably leaned against the headboard. He stroked Qiangwei's soft hair with one hand, feeling a little drowsy. Qiangwei was tossed around quite a bit, but she was still in high spirits. She curiously asked Yangcheng why he wanted to see her as soon as he came back. Yangcheng didn't hide it. He told her about how he returned home and taught the Iceberg CEO a lesson. After listening, Qiangwei couldn't help but giggle. She turned over to the side, and her two plump, snow-white thighs kept kicking on the bed. A fragrant wind blew, causing Yangcheng to fiercely swallow his saliva again. I thought that a woman like her was a very sophisticated and mature woman. Listening to you, hubby, why does she sound like a 16 or 17-year-old girl? Qiangwei seemed to have discovered a new continent. Yangcheng rolled his eyes. It's not that exaggerated. She's different from you. Although you both have been living independently since you were young, your living environment made you understand the ways of the world. Ruoshi's living environment made her learn to manage the company and compete with others in the business world. Things like family and relationships are a complete mess. That kind of woman is generally very pure and very lovable. In other words, because of her ignorance, it makes men have the desire to protect her. Qiangwei playfully said. Yangcheng frowned. How could she be so cool? But she's a little silly. Qiangwei patted her calves, her heels just enough to touch her round buttocks that were exposed to the air, causing her buttocks to undulate. Holding her chin with both hands, she said, "Listening to you, I really want to see her. It's not a funny thing." Yang Chung curled his lips. "What's the big deal? Anyway, I won't threaten her position. I just want to see this pure and lovely wife." As the two talked, looking at Xiang Wei's perfect curves, Yang Cheng's little brother below had a tendency to move again. Xiang Wei found that the situation was not right. She couldn't stand more rain and dew. Her beautiful eyes turned and immediately thought of diverting Yang Cheng's attention. She said, "Hubby, during the days you were away, someone came here to see you." Chapter 166. Yang Cheng and Xiang Wei's relationship was almost a secret. So when someone came to Rose Bar to look for Yang Cheng, it had to attract Yang Cheng's attention. "Ooh, Chanel." Xiang Wei pursed her lips into a smile, a little crafty. Yang Cheng spent a lot of effort before he remembered who Chanel was. Wasn't that Zhou Dongsheng? That day when he massacred the West Union Society's masterminds, he didn't directly clash with Dongxing, and that was all thanks to Miss Chanel's brilliant performance. To be honest, other than the fact that he couldn't stand Chanel's flirtatious eyes, Yang Cheng was still quite friendly towards Zhou Dongsheng. What did he come for? Seeing Yang Cheng's expression as if he was facing a great enemy, Xiang Wei giggled. "I don't know either. Miss Chanel was just surprised to show her face. So she wanted to come here to see you, but it just so happened that you were on a business trip. So he came for nothing. Next time you come, tell him that if you want to find a man, he should find someone with common interests. I'm not that type." Yang Cheng said with a pale face. Xiang Wei mischievously said, "Miss Chanel is so beautiful. Even as a woman, I'm envious and jealous. How could a pervert like you not be tempted?" Yang Cheng felt that this woman couldn't be disciplined properly after being spoiled. He immediately sat up and carried Rose by her waist, placing her on his thighs. Raising his hand, he smacked down on her round buttocks. Pa pa pa. After 3 smacks, a red palm print appeared, and her butt trembled, causing Xiang Wei to moan 3 times, her face flushed and her eyes watery. "Do you dare to say it again?" Yang Cheng asked, pretending to be angry. Xiang Wei timidly shook her head, pouting, but the smile in her eyes didn't disappear. Yang Cheng sighed in his heart. In this day and age, he wasn't afraid of those who played tough, but he was afraid of people like Zhou Dongsheng who played soft. It was just like the kind of peerless martial arts that used softness to overcome hardness, using no moves to overcome moves. It would make you tremble in fear from the inside. Being handsome was indeed a sin. After hugging Xiang Wei to sleep for a night, Yang Cheng still had to obediently go to work. In fact, he hadn't seen the group of female colleagues in the office for a week, and he still somewhat missed them. Otherwise, how could he be called a sultry man? When Yang Cheng entered the office carrying bags of breakfast, he realized that there were fewer people in the office. Many of his seats were empty. Puzzled, he asked Zhang Kai what was going on. Zhang Kai, who was busy typing documents, saw Yang Cheng and puckered her lips in pain. "Yang Cheng, you're finally back. You don't know how hard it has been for us sisters these days. The fall fashion show is about to start, and it will be enough for us to run around. I don't know what major project the company has recently, but Sister Mingyu has been urging us to go around to collect the arrears, and she has also given everyone tasks. We're like headless flies, running around and around." Yang Cheng knew the inside story. It seemed that the collaboration with Chonglin Media and Muyun Corporation required a large investment, so these female public relations staff were extremely busy. The key point was that before the contract was signed, it would not be made public, so these poor girls didn't know why they were so busy. "Hey, breakfast." Zhang Kai saw the breakfast in Yang Cheng's hands, and her beautiful big eyes lit up. She directly snatched a bag of pan-fried buns and happily ate it. "Look at you. You haven't had a good breakfast these days," Yang Cheng said with heartache. Zhang Kai's small mouth was puffed up. "What? We're used to eating the breakfast you bring, so everyone basically forgets to buy their own breakfast." Yang Cheng was very satisfied with this answer. He didn't expect that he already had such an important position, and he couldn't help but feel elated. After giving out breakfast, he returned to his seat and saw that Zhao Hongyan, who was the closest to him, was wearing a light pink suit today. Her hair was loose, and she wore a bright yellow hair clip. Her legs were still seductive black stockings, and she looked a little more energetic than before. It seemed that she had walked out of the haze of cold family violence. Zhao Hongyan saw that Yang Cheng had returned, and she looked up with a slightly shy smile. Did the business trip go well? It can't be said to be smooth, but I completed the task. I'm more concerned about you. Has the matter been resolved? Zhao Hongyan stopped smiling and nodded seriously. I've cut ties with the Yu family and completed the divorce procedures. Although it wasn't pleasant in the end, at least I don't have to worry about it in the future. If their family, especially that Yu Hui, harasses you again, just tell me directly. All right, how about your father's surgery? Zhao Hongyan said gratefully. Don't worry. The two brothers were frightened by General Lin, and they've been worried about whether their family's business would be bought over. As for my father, the doctor said that they found a kidney source, and they have enough funds now. They plan to wait for a few days for my father to be in a better condition for the surgery, and the success rate is still very high. It's all thanks to you that we have this situation now. It's all thanks to you, CEO. I just moved my lips and chased away a few flies. Yang Cheng smiled indifferently. It's different. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have the courage to come this far. Zhao Hongyan suddenly smiled. If this was in the ancient times, would you have to repay me with your body? Yang Cheng touched his nose awkwardly. You can't play it like this. You seduce me as soon as I come back. I'm already a broken shoe. A woman's modesty doesn't matter to me. We're already so familiar with each other. If you want to seduce me, just seduce me. Zhao Hongyan teased with a pink face. The scene of him reaching into Zhao Hongyan's lace underwear appeared in Yang Cheng's mind. At this moment, seeing the mature and beautiful young woman who had just divorced, he couldn't help but feel a little hot in his heart. It wasn't that Yang Cheng was in heat whenever he saw a woman. Yang Cheng himself was also very helpless. His strange illness not only brought him shackled pain, but also some strange effects. For example, when it came to sex between men and women, his endurance was especially strong. This was also the reason why Chiang Wei, who had an extremely good physique, couldn't stand it. There was also a side effect, which was that his control over his hormones was very weak, making it harder for him to resist the temptation of women. This might also be the reason why his brain's nerves were mutated. Otherwise, with Yang Cheng's personality, he might have already pushed away pure girls like Li Jingjing and Tang Dang, high school girls far away. Why would he bother to get involved in this pool of muddy water? He had always been entangled like this. Just as he was thinking about these things, his phone suddenly rang. After taking a closer look, it turned out to be Li Jingjing calling. Hello, Jingjing. On the other end of the phone, Li Jingjing seemed to be relieved and complained, Big brother Yang, why haven't I been able to get through to you for so many days? I thought something happened. Yang Cheng was stunned. This phone number was given to him by Lin Ruoxi, and he didn't pay attention to the range. He didn't expect that he couldn't get through to Hong Kong. This Lin Ruoxi was too stingy. She had so much money that she couldn't even spend it on a global connection. He had misunderstood Lin Ruoxi. How could Lin Ruoxi do it herself for a phone? Naturally, she would leave it to her subordinates to handle. The CEO didn't even say what kind of business to handle. So wouldn't it be better to do something closer and keep the rest of the money in her pocket? Helplessly, Yang Cheng had to briefly tell her about his business trip to Hong Kong, and then asked Li Jingjing what was the matter. Li Jingjing didn't ask much and said directly, I want to tell Big Brother Yang that I moved out of my home. She had previously said that she would move out to prevent Mother Li from constantly urging Li Jingjing to date and get married. He didn't expect this girl to really move out so soon. A young and beautiful girl living alone in this big city. Although it was only a short distance away from her parents, it was definitely a completely different concept. Whether it was taking care of herself daily or safety issues, she couldn't be careless about them. Yang Cheng immediately asked for the address of the move. Li Jingjing said with a smile, Do you remember the orphanage that I took you to last time? There are a few 10-story apartments nearby. I rented one with 1 bedroom and 1 living room for 1,000 Huaxia dollars a month. Although it's a little expensive, the good thing is that it's well renovated and the environment is not bad. More importantly, it's convenient to take the bus to school, and I can often go to the orphanage to see the children. Yang Cheng didn't know how much Li Jingjing's specific salary was, but 1,000 a month's rent was definitely not cheap for a young teacher. I'll find time to go there and see if there's anything I can help with. Yang Cheng was worried. He was still very concerned about this girl who he met when he just came back to China and had always been like a sister to him. Li Jingjing hurriedly said no over the phone. Big brother Yang, I haven't finished the house yet. I'm just letting you know so that you won't blame me for not informing you earlier. It's because you haven't finished it that I'm going to take a look and help you do something. Also, the surrounding security facilities are very important. Yang Cheng said without any room for refusal. Li Jingjing was silent for a while and softly responded. It was obvious that she was still very happy to be valued. After hanging up the phone, Yang Cheng thought for a while. Helping Li Jingjing buy a new house would definitely cost a lot. Thinking of money, he thought of the $1 million check he won from Li Mucheng, the dead man, during his trip to Hong Kong. It was time to transfer the money to his account. Seeing that Yang Cheng had just sat down and was about to leave after receiving a call, Zhao Hongyan was puzzled. Is it a girl? And I guess so, the daughter of an old friend. Yang Cheng said, young girls are indeed more charming. Old women like us aren't popular anymore. Zhao Hongyan complained. Yang Cheng went forward and stretched out his hand to pinch Zhao Hongyan's tender face. Which part of you is old? Water can come out from your pinch. Zhao Hongyan coquettishly rolled her eyes at him. Don't be so touchy. Do you really think I want you to touch me? Let's go. Yang Cheng smiled bitterly. Women are like this. If you don't touch them, they will come and seduce you. If you touch them, they will feel wronged and be unhappy. Whether it's at home or outside, it's hard to please them. Yang Cheng thought gloomily. Half an hour later, Yang Cheng drove to the Zhonghai headquarters of Huaxia Bank. It was surrounded by a bustling business district with people and cars passing by. It was very noisy. Walking into the lobby of the bank, there weren't many people inside. There were about a dozen customers, and a few people were sitting in the resting area. After getting his number, Yang Cheng sat in the resting area and waited in line. Just when he was about to sit down, he suddenly saw a familiar face looking at him with a smile. Chapter 167. She was wearing a tight-fitting, Western-style sundress with a V-shaped neckline that extended below her breasts. She wasn't wearing any underwear, revealing her snow-white breasts. She must have used rubber pads to restrain her breasts so that they wouldn't move too much. He was wearing a pair of shiny, black flat-sole boat shoes and a black, patent leather sequin backpack. Her long black hair was neatly tied up, and she wore a small blue and white striped beret, giving off the impression of an office girl wearing a fashionable stewardess hat. Every time he saw Tang Wan, this beautiful lady of unknown age, Yang Cheng would feel refreshed. Of course, because the first time they met, Yang Cheng's face was a little awkward. What a coincidence, Mr. Yang. Tang Wan didn't feel awkward at all. As the leader of a high-end entertainment club in Zhonghai, she would be able to deal with anyone easily. Yang Cheng smiled awkwardly. Last time, Mo Chinny was there, so he could talk smoothly. This time, he suddenly felt a little embarrassed. I didn't expect Ms. Tang to come to the bank in person. Tang Wan covered her mouth and laughed. Mr. Yang, that's strange. Do you have to tell others your bank password? Yang Cheng was speechless. It wasn't that he thought he said something stupid, but when he was overseas, Yang Cheng knew he was rich. If the Forbes list had the ability to investigate the personal assets of those extraordinary people, Yang Cheng felt that he might be one of the world's top billionaires. Bill Gates might not even be in the top 10 in their circle. However, his money was indeed managed by someone else. Until now, Yang Cheng didn't even know how much money he had, nor did he know how he got it. Therefore, in Yang Cheng's subconscious mind, rich people wouldn't personally come to the bank to deal with these affairs. Even when he returned to Huaxia, Yang Cheng had only been to the bank a few times. He was very vague about these bank procedures. Tang Wan saw Yang Cheng's sullen face and didn't speak. In her heart, she only thought that Yang Cheng was a playboy from a rich family, so he didn't know much about these trivial matters. She didn't say much and reached out to Yang Cheng. It's rare to meet you. Let's shake hands. Yang Cheng immediately reached out to shake Tang Wan's hand. It was smooth and soft. A woman's age or maintenance was very direct based on her hand. Tang Wan's hand was like a 16-year-old girl's. He really couldn't figure out how she had a child in high school. But that was other people's private affairs. Yang Chung could only silently sigh in his heart that Tang Wan's husband was blessed to have such a beautiful wife. It was estimated that only a good person who had done 180 lifetimes would have such a good reward. Thinking of his own family, Yang Chung couldn't help but curse. He didn't even know when he could hold his hand, let alone give birth to a child in high school. After finishing the formalities, they sat in a different seat. The two didn't talk. Tang Wan was not interested in chatting with a playboy. In her opinion, Yang Chung had nothing worth appreciating except his strength. And Yang Chung was too embarrassed to speak. The procedures at the bank counter, if it wasn't simple work such as depositing and withdrawing money, often took a lot of time. After waiting for almost 20 minutes, Yang Cheng's and Tang Wan's numbers were called on the radio. The two walked to different counters almost at the same time and smiled politely at each other. "Hello, how can I help you?" A freckled female personal service staff asked Yang Chung with a smile. Yang Chung took out the slightly wrinkled Hua Xia's bank check from his pocket and handed it over. "Help me transfer this money to my account." As he spoke, Yang Chung took out his bank card and stuffed it in. The female staff was still smiling when she picked up the check, but when she saw the long string of zeros on it, she couldn't close her mouth no matter how hard she tried. Her eyes widened in a daze. "Miss, what are you doing? Isn't it just $1 million?" Yang Chung urged. He still wanted to rush back to Yulei to play games. The female staff hurriedly made a shushing gesture and said with a stiff smile, "Sir, lower your voice. Don't let others hear. Don't you know? If it's more than 20,000, you need to make an appointment in advance. If it's more than 100,000, you need to go to the customer service manager for one-on-one service. If it's more than $1 million, you need to go to the VIP customer service and make an appointment in advance. Maybe you need to be a director to handle it, and you need to do some investigation and review." Yang Chung said unhappily, "Why are there so many rules? This check is real. The money is mine. Why do you bank care so much?" "But this is the rule," the female staff said awkwardly. "Rules are made by people. People are alive, but rules are dead. Can't you change it for the customer? The customer is God. You're a few years older than me. Why are you so immature?" Yang Chung was a little annoyed. It was so troublesome to spend his own money. How could he stand it? "Let me tell you, I'll write you a note now. I'll say that I'm asking you to help me transfer the money to my account. If you want to cause trouble, come find me. I'll give you my signature and fingerprint. How about that?" The female staff was about to cry. What kind of customer was this? Were all rich people like this? He didn't even know how to make an appointment for $1 million. He came to the counter with a wrinkled check and shouted. He even wrote a small note and fingerprint when he went to the bank. "Sir, I'm just small staff. I don't have the ability to do these things. Please don't make things difficult for me." "I'm not making things difficult for you. I'm just letting you have fun. Think about it. With just a tap of your little hand on the keyboard, $1 million will be transferred by you just like that. How satisfying would that be?" Yang Chun continued to encourage her. The female staff didn't want to lose her job, so she stubbornly shook her head. Yang Chun was angry. He was in a dilemma. He slammed the black marble surface of the counter. "Are you going to give me my $1 million or not?" he shouted loudly. Not only did Tang Wan, who was handling some procedures nearby, hear it, but the other customers also heard it. The security guard at the entrance of the bank also heard it. Okay, in broad daylight, someone came to the bank alone and wanted to extort $1 million. Everyone shouted at the same time in their hearts. Tang Wan was shocked. What's wrong with this man? Although it looked bad to her, it wasn't to the point where he wanted to rob her. A tall man wearing a green security uniform immediately walked forward with a baton in his hand. With a solemn expression, he stared at Yang Chun like a tiger watching its prey. "Mister, please don't do anything that violates the law. Otherwise, I will immediately hand you over to the police to be dealt with." Yang Chun didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He touched his forehead. The female staff immediately explained, "Don't be like this. This gentleman isn't trying to rob you. He wants to transfer money. Don't be rough." With this shout, the surrounding people understood. Of course, they knew that 1 million had to be booked. So, they looked at Yang Chung with a bit of contempt. They thought that Yang Chung was an uncultured nouveau riche who didn't know the rules of the bank, even though he had money. Tang Wan sighed silently. She really didn't understand why Mo Qianni and Li Jingjing would like this man. He didn't even know such basic rules. How could he shout such words in public? Seeing that they knew each other, Tang Wan stepped forward and suggested, "Mr. Yang, why don't you make an appointment with the VIP customer service center now? There are usually no customers. You could just go through the formalities." Seeing that Tang Wan had said so, Yang Chung estimated that the poor female staff wouldn't agree even if he continued. He sighed and said, Okay, hurry up and make an appointment. Don't delay my meal." The female staff breathed a sigh of relief and smiled gratefully at Tang Wan. Then, she began to call the customer service manager for Yang Chung to report the situation. The security guard understood that this was a misunderstanding. He looked at Yang Chung with vigilance and turned to walk back to the door. But at this moment, there was a sudden commotion outside the bank's door. Screams and shouts broke out, as if a pot had exploded. All the people in the bank heard the noise and looked outside the door. A horrible scene happened. A total of 7 to 8 men wearing black leather jackets and black masks with submachine guns in their hands rushed into the bank like a black whirlwind. Da-da-da-da-da, a series of firecrackers sounded. The submachine gun in the hands of the first masked macho man burst into orange sparks. The glass door of the bank was directly smashed into pieces, and the glass debris flew everywhere. The security guard, who had just walked back to the door, didn't have time to react. He was hit by a burst of bullets. He staggered a few steps back and fell into a pool of blood. The bullets hit the wall and floor tiles. It raised a layer of stone dust. The broken bonsai made the bank's hall even more dirty. Whether it was the staff or the customers in the hall, everyone was scared silly. When they saw the security guard fall, they realized that it was a real gun that could kill people in an instant. How could it be? Help! Women's high-decibel cries immediately came one after another. More people began to hide in the corner of the wall, under the table, behind the door, etc. They crouched down and hugged their heads, shivering. No matter how calm Tang Wan was usually, she was still a normal woman. When she saw the robbers, heard the gunshots, and saw the dead people, her pretty face suddenly turned pale. At first, she subconsciously grabbed the arm of the nearest man, Yang Chung, and hid behind Yang Chung. Yang Chung was depressed. It wasn't that it was dangerous to encounter a bank robbery, but it was a robbery at the wrong time. I don't usually go to the bank. Today, I came to get this 1 million. It's rare for me to come here. I want to buy some money for the girl I like. The process of getting the money is a waste of time. But you guys chose this time to make trouble for me. Could he still take the money or not? Chapter 168. The bank robbers naturally did not have a good temper. After rushing into the door, they directly fired at the crystal chandelier on the ceiling. The crisscross bullets made the entire ceiling riddled with holes. Da-da-da-da-da. The crystal chandelier was smashed into pieces and flew all over the sky. The sound of shattering suppressed the screams of the women in the entire hall. The 7 robbers entered the hall and immediately scattered to various positions. They held submachine guns and threatened the crying and hiding crowd. From time to time, they also fired a few shots. Get down, men and women. Put your hands behind your back and squat on the ground. Bullets don't have eyes. If you dare to slip or move, I will be the first to shoot you. The masked leader shouted. At this moment, Yang Chung felt Tang Wan's body trembling behind him. He knew that she was afraid. After all, no matter how strong she was only a woman. He had to comfort her first and protect her behind him. The two of them squatted under the bank's front desk and planned to see the situation first. Tang Wan was also desperate. Although she felt ashamed to hide behind a man she despised so timidly, she did not care about this at the moment of life and death. At this moment, Yang Chung did not ignore her, but stood in front of her, which made Tang Wan quite moved. This man was not too bad at this moment. A middle-aged man in the bank's front desk was quite courageous. He quietly crawled and wanted to press the alarm button. The robber seemed to be very experienced. He had already discovered his intention and laughed. You want to call the police? It's useless to call the police. The police eat dung. You want to rely on them to save you? Wishful thinking. After saying that, the leader directly shot a bullet into the man's thigh. He did not kill him, causing the man to roll on the ground and roar in pain. Blood flowed out, causing the women to once again cry out in panic. Many of the more timid ones directly fainted. Yang Chung frowned. He could stop and kill this group of people, but he did not move. At a time like this, if the robbers didn't kill indiscriminately or attack him, he didn't want to make a move. It wasn't that he was cold-blooded and heartless to ignore the lives of these people. If he made a move, he might have to say goodbye to his current life under the watchful eyes of so many people. That was definitely not what Yangchen wanted to see. In the past, he might have been able to leave this place without any worries, but now, he was no longer alone. People were often selfish, and so was Yangchen. He was not Batman, nor was he Superman. He did not have the interest to wear a black cape every day to punish evil and become an urban hero in red underwear. Yangchen wasn't noble enough to leave the people he loved and cared about just because someone he didn't care about was hurt or died. The number of innocent lives that had died in his hands was uncountable. Although he would occasionally feel that his sins were heavy, at this moment, Yangchen only felt that it no longer mattered how many lives he had taken. There was a metaphor that was not very accurate to describe Yangchen's current state. When you stood in the perspective of a person, how could you pay too much attention to the lives of ants? There was no such thing as humanitarianism and moral bottom line. It had become an instinctive reaction of Yangchen. The people in the entire lobby of the bank were under control. 2 robbers rushed to the second floor of the bank and directly captured several bank executives in the office. They all squatted in a row in the corner of the wall and did not dare to raise their heads in fear. This group of robbers skillfully sent 3 people to start a wanton looting. They took huge sacks from various deposit points in the bank and threw a lot of bright red banknotes into the sacks. About 5 minutes later, there was finally a wailing sound of sirens outside the bank's gate. 8 police cars with flashing lights surrounded the entire bank from all sides. Dozens of armed police officers walked out of the cars and carried out a comprehensive blockade of the scene. Wearing a bulletproof vest and holding a Type 54 pistol, Choi Yun walked out of the car valiantly. Her delicate face was filled with anger at this moment. This was already the 3rd time this bank robber had committed a crime. Just over a week ago, Choi Yun had said that if this group of people was not caught, she would resign from her position as the police chief and never step into the police force. This was definitely a military oath to her. Therefore, this time, Choi Yun paid special attention to it. She meticulously laid out a battle plan and equipped the most powerful personnel and firepower. They must eliminate this group of robbers in one go. She signaled the police officers beside her to start shouting. Under the cover of the riot police's shield, Choi Yun led a team of elites to gradually approach the bank. The robbers inside listen up. You have been surrounded. We have set up perfect riot control measures around the area. With the elite police force, you have nowhere to escape. Now your best choice is to put down your weapons, surrender immediately, and face the fair judgment of the law. The police's loudspeaker continued to make high-pitched shouts that spread into the bank lobby. The masked leader spat and directly grabbed a petite female customer from the nearest place. He pointed a gun at the woman's head and walked out of the door. He laughed wildly and shouted, "Bullsh asterisk T. If you shout again, I will kill the hostages one by one." After that, the big man raised his submachine gun and fired at the approaching team of Choi Yun. The bullets hit the rebound shield of the riot police, causing panic in the surrounding people. The people who were watching from afar were even more excited, but they were afraid to get too close. Cayenne's face was covered in dust, and her beautiful oval face was flushed with anger. However, the robber's firepower clearly didn't allow her to get any closer. She had no choice but to retreat to the side of the police car with her team. A young police officer nervously ran to Choi Yun and asked, "Chief, there are at least 30 hostages inside. How can we break in? Is a sniper here yet?" Choi Yun asked calmly. "Still on the way. He will arrive in 10 minutes. 10 minutes? Choi Yun was so angry that she almost threw her gun away. So slow. We still have to locate and aim here. After everything is done, the robbers will run away with the hostages before he can shoot. An old police officer sighed. Chief, it's useless even if the sniper is here. These robbers are very experienced. They hid inside the bank and stood at an angle where the sniper can't shoot. Even if the sniper was here, he probably wouldn't have a chance. What's more, there are 7 of them. As long as the sniper shoots, the robbers might be desperate and hurt the hostages. Choi Yun didn't let her anger get to her head. According to what you said, do we have to wait for the robbers to take the money and drive away with the hostages before tracking them? When they reach the suburbs, they can hide anywhere. If someone comes to rescue them, we won't be able to guard against them. There's nothing we can do about it. These robbers are obviously not simple. It's too hard for us to catch them alone, the old police officer said. Actually, if it's possible, the military should help us. We still have to rely on the military to solve the bank robberies in Zhonghai. Then what's the difference between us police officers and urban management? Choi Yun said unwillingly. At that moment, the police officers behind them suddenly dispersed. A tall figure walked over from not far away. Choi Yun turned around, and her eyes lit up. Her resentful expression disappeared, and she smiled happily. Sister, why are you here? The woman who walked over looked similar to Choi Yun. However, she was slightly taller and more voluptuous. She had long hair and wore a tight black leather jacket with a pair of light-colored jeans that outlined her slender curves. She wasn't as heroic as Choi Yun. She looked more elegant and beautiful. But there was no doubt that the 2 sisters were outstanding and eye-catching beauties. The person who came was none other than one of the group of 8, Flower Rain, who hadn't appeared since Yang Chung saw through her. At the same time, as she said, she was Choi Yun's twin sister. Her real name was Kai Ning. Kai Ning glanced at the blocked bank and said, I saw the news at home and heard my parents talking about it, so I came to see if I can help you. Choi Yun seemed to be relieved. She smiled happily and said, I was so anxious that I forgot that you're home. With you here, they won't be able to escape. Not necessarily. I'm just an ordinary person, Kai Ning said calmly. She wasn't as emotional as her sister. It was the first time that the police officers found out that the swift and decisive beautiful chief had a sister. She was also a stunning beauty. They couldn't help but whisper to each other. Choi Yun immediately glanced at them unhappily. Watch carefully. What are you babbling about? The police officers immediately turned their heads with goosebumps. Sister, what do you think we should do now? We can't break in, and they'll bring hostages with them when they escape. This is such a headache. Choi Yun complained softly. At this moment, she was more like a child acting like a spoiled child to an adult. Kai Ning's eyes flashed, and she said, Guard outside with the police. Don't go near. I'll go in for a while. I'll inform you when I'm done. Sister, you're going in alone? Is there a problem? It's very dangerous. Choi Yun said anxiously. I know. That's why I'm going in. You guys don't go in, Kai Ning said. Choi Yun frowned and mumbled. Sister, what do you do for a living? Why didn't Dad tell us? The other relatives and friends don't know either? Is that important? Of course. You're my only sister. Choi Yun seemed to have held it in for a long time. We grew up together, but why did you suddenly leave home when you were 11? You rarely come home, even once a year. How can I not be curious? Besides, as far as I know, even if you're in a national security agency, there's no such thing as a job that can't be told to family. Moreover, we're not ordinary people. Why can't you tell your family what you do for a living? I care about you, so I want to know. Kai Ning's mouth curved into a gentle smile. She stretched out her fair hand and touched Choi Yun's face. There's a reason why I didn't tell you. In short, it's the same as you. It's all for the country's prosperity and stability. When the security level reaches a certain level, you'll naturally know what I do for a living. So you have to work hard. I believe my sister won't be bad. Choi Yun nodded dejectedly. All right, I understand. Sister, be careful. Kai Ning replied and strode towards the bank's entrance. The police officers only thought that the chief's sister was an expert from some special forces, which was why the chief had let her in. But even Kai Yin herself didn't know that Kai Ning's appearance wasn't because the one facing the kidnappers was Kai Yan's sister, but because there was another man with the kidnappers, so she had no choice but to rush over. Chapter 169. About 5 minutes ago, just as the Kai sisters met outside, a dramatic scene occurred in the lobby of the bank. After the 7 robbers stunned the police, they had almost looted all the resources in the bank. They were about to take a few hostages and drive away like the previous 2 times. The robbery process was smooth, but when the masked leader inadvertently glanced at Tang Wan, who was behind Yang Cheng, he showed an infinitely greedy look and couldn't move his feet anymore. It had to be said that a woman with the charm of a mature woman like Tang Wan had a huge lethality for adult strongmen, especially at this exciting moment after successfully robbing a bank 3 times in a row. The robber's mood was extremely good. The joy in his chest was hard to describe, and he needed a channel to vent it. At this moment, the robber's nerves were at the most excited stage, and the secretion of various hormones was naturally several times faster. When he saw Tang Wan's mature and beautiful side profile and the fat and perky buttocks wrapped under the tight short skirt, it was impossible for this tall man not to be full of desire. He needed a woman. The other robbers finished packing up and were about to leave. Seeing that the leader was staring at a woman, they all looked over curiously. Suddenly, a group of people had evil thoughts. One of the robbers laughed in a hoarse voice. "Hey, big brother, if you want to F***CK this woman, then let's do it. Anyway, we can leave sooner or later. It's rare to meet such a good girl. How about we take turns to have fun before we leave? This girl's but is really round. I want to F***CK her just by looking at her." Another robber licked his lips and said, "Which buttocks are round? Look at the 2 big balls on her chest." Ha! The group of robbers all laughed loudly and looked at Tang Wan, who was squatting there, and pointed at her. Tang Wan was so ashamed and angry that she wanted to die. No one had ever dared to point at her and say such vulgar words. It was like looking at pork in the vegetable market, judging by the parts, and using such vulgar words. Her originally pale face was covered with a layer of red clouds, but the fear of death made Tang Wan not dare to stand up against these robbers with guns. Her identity, status, money, and her pride seemed so fragile at this moment. She had never had the urge to find a man to hug and cry. Tang Wan's eyes were filled with tears. In panic and despair, the robbers were ready to make a move. "Big brother, put the gun down and go play with this girl first. We brothers will go after her," one of the robbers suggested. The masked man didn't refuse. He couldn't bear it anymore. He threw the submachine gun to his brother and began to unbuckle his belt and approach Tang Wan. Tang Wan's breathing became rapid. She subconsciously shrank behind Yang Cheng, but the fear in her heart became more and more intense. Was she going to be raped by such a vulgar robber in front of so many people? Thinking of this situation, Tang Wan's heart was like dead ashes. She even had the urge to bite her tongue and commit suicide. "Hee, you're still shy. Do you think you can escape? Serve me well, and I guarantee you can leave alive today." The robber laughed lewdly. His eyes, which were revealed by the black mask, were filled with a greedy and infatuated light. Things had reached this point. Yang Cheng, who had been squatting there, could only move. He didn't care about others, but he knew Tang Wan. Moreover, such a beauty was defiled by a beast. Yang Cheng couldn't accept this. "Hey, take the money and leave. Do you think you're a dog or a pig? Playing with a woman in front of so many people. Don't make a fool of yourself." Yang Cheng slowly stood up. Frowning, he said impatiently. Several robbers glared at Yang Cheng. "Kid, are you tired of living?" Several people instantly aimed their submachine guns at Yang Cheng. Tang Wan, on the other hand, raised her head with teary eyes and looked at Yang Cheng in astonishment. As she was looking up, Yang Chen's back seemed exceptionally tall. However, Tang Wan's heart was shaken. She never expected that this playboy whom she had always felt wasn't much, a man who had no qualities other than his strength, would stand up for her and scold the criminals in a situation where a gun was pointed at him and he could be shot at any time. Suddenly experiencing the feeling of being protected by a man, Tang Wan was a bit absent-minded. This feeling was too unfamiliar, but it was too deep. She felt as if her heart was placed on soft cotton, warm and comfortable, making her feel much more at ease. People would think a lot at the critical moment of life and death. Yang Cheng's performance undoubtedly made Tang Wan think that Yang Cheng had a great determination to protect her chastity with his life. But the two of them didn't have much interaction at all. She even kept a distance from him, and from time to time she would mock his flirting. Why did he do this? Who am I to him? What does he want? One by one, questions that wouldn't have been there were all poured into Tang Wan's mind, making her almost forget the desperate situation she was in. Her thoughts were so chaotic that she couldn't extricate herself. The masked macho man glanced at Yang Cheng and stopped a few of his accomplices who were going to shoot. He sneered and said, "Your courage is not small. You still want to be a hero to save the beauty. I can't stand a gigolo like you. Today, I won't use a gun. I will knock you down in front of you first. Then, I will play with women and let you see what is reality." After that, the masked macho man reached out his big hand and intended to grab Yang Cheng's neck. In Yang Cheng's view, this action was as clumsy as a bear. Naturally, he didn't feel any pressure. After he slapped the masked man's hand away, he waved his right hand. "Pah!" The masked macho man was suddenly slapped with lightning speed. The strength brought by the slap was so strong that he was stunned for a moment. He felt dizzy and couldn't stand still. He leaned on the bank counter in front of him to support himself. He touched his face that seemed to be swollen from the slap with one hand. His eyes were full of confusion, as if he had forgotten how he was hit. He looked at Yang Cheng with his mouth wide open, unable to say a word. The other robbers were also dumbfounded. Yang Cheng's attack speed made them dizzy. At this moment, seeing their most valued boss get hit, it made them momentarily forget to raise their guns against Yang Cheng. Yang Cheng was already full of displeasure. Now that he was going to do it, he couldn't be bothered to hide it anymore. He opened his mouth and scolded, "You mother f*** cur? Can you f*** king robbers have some professional ethics? How can you always rob in the same city? It's fine if you keep robbing here, but at least come back after a while. The commoners haven't even saved enough money, and you guys come back. Aren't you f*** king bored out of your mind? Also, it wasn't easy for me to come here to withdraw money, and the staff refused to transfer it to me, so I endured it. I was just about to see their manager. Why are you guys here to cause trouble? If you want to rob, why do you have to choose when I'm taking the money? If you want to rob, then hurry up and rob. After you're done, hurry up and leave." Making such a big commotion. Are you acting? Do you think this is a Korean TV series with 1 or 200 episodes of Scam? Are you even going to let me take the money? Now that you've taken the money and shot the bullets, you still want to play with women? You want to play with women in the bank? Are you a savage, or did you crawl out of cave? You can play with women, but why did you choose a woman I know? Couldn't you have just chosen an ugly one? I'll just turn a blind eye to it, but you just had to choose the one behind my back. I won't talk to you anymore. You guys still have to take turns. When all of you are done, then we'll have to wait until the sun sets. I still want to eat lunch and go back to play games. What the hell are you guys wasting time for? Now let me tell you, scram as far away as you can. What kind of robber are you dawdling about? Are you guys menopause, or do you come on those few days of the month? As soon as the call ended, the 7 robbers were stunned and speechless. Tang Wan, who was squatting, also looked at Yang Cheng in a daze. All the hostages also looked at Yang Cheng, and the scene was silent. After a while, the robbers came back to their senses and angrily cursed. "Mother of ***, this kid is cursing us in a roundabout way. It seems like he's cursing us in a roundabout way. Block him with bullets." The robbers immediately raised their guns and were about to shoot at Yang Cheng. Tang Wan shouted, "Don't." Only then did she realize that Yang Cheng was standing up for her. If he died like this, she might have to live under the shadow for the rest of her life. But how could Yang Cheng be hit so easily? Almost at the moment when the robbers raised their guns, Yang Cheng had already pulled the burly man in front of him. The burly man couldn't withstand Yang Cheng's enormous strength at all. After being dragged in front of him, he felt a heavy blow on the back of his neck and immediately lost consciousness. Shoot, this human cushion will be penetrated after a few more shots. Yang Chung leaned to the side and said while hiding behind them. This was something that couldn't be helped. Compared to killing these people, it was more low-key to catch someone to block the bullets. But the robbers weren't stupid. One of them directly moved his gun and aimed at Tang Wan, who was beside Yang Chung, and said with a strange smile, "Don't you want to protect this woman? Then I'll shoot her first." Tang Wan closed her eyes. In fact, she also knew that with so many people and so many guns, Yang Cheng's resistance would be useless. That little bit of hope just now had withered at this moment. "Shoot your sister." Yang Cheng didn't give him any extra time. Without waiting for the robber to pull the trigger, he directly threw the burly man in his hand at the robber. The 200-pound body smashed towards the robber like a human cannonball, directly smashing the robber to the ground. "Brother, let me tell you, a man can point a gun at a woman, but only the one between his legs," Yang Chung said in a serious tone with a teaching tone. The scene of beating up the robbers was supposed to be so satisfying for the men and women present, but Yang Chen's words made everyone's jaws drop. Tang Wan walked around the line of life and death again. Seeing that she was saved by Yang Chung again, her heart was filled with gratitude and harmonious affection. But when she heard Yang Cheng's extremely straightforward words, she also blushed and felt a burst of embarrassment for Yang Chung. This guy really, even at this time, he still didn't forget to act like a hooligan. Chapter 170. But no matter what, there were still 6 robbers at the scene, and they were about to enter a frenzied state. Each of them revealed a ferocious look, and they hated Yang Chung to the core. "F***CKU, go to hell," one of them shouted, and was about to shoot at Yang Chung. But just as everyone closed their eyes, as they couldn't bear to watch this cruel scene, the scene suddenly changed. The robbers, who were about to shoot, suddenly froze like statues, as if they were machines that had their gears jammed. They stopped moving halfway and became motionless. Their pupils started to slacken, and the submachine guns in their hands fell to the ground, making the sound of metal clashing. Then, all 6 of the robbers' legs went soft, and they staggered and kneeled on the ground. Then, they laid on the ground like dead pigs, twitched a few times, and stopped moving. Just as all the hostages at the scene were shocked, Kai Ning, who was walking up the stairs at the entrance of the bank, retracted her beautiful hand, turned around gracefully, and walked back in the direction she came from. This scene was a little strange, and the people at the scene didn't understand why the robbers would suddenly roll their eyes and fall to the ground. But without a doubt, that beautiful woman had done a miraculous rescue. But because it was all too strange, no one dared to breathe, and they could only watch as their savior left. Yang Chung also heaved a sigh of relief. If he hadn't sensed Flower Rain's arrival, he would have to kill these robbers himself, and that would bring him countless troubles. Luckily, the people from the Yellow Flame Iron Brigade were thoughtful enough to help him solve these troubles, and he could continue to live in peace. Thinking about it this way, being watched by others wasn't that bad of a thing. Flower Rain used the Tang Sek shower of flowers technique. From a few dozen steps away, she silently released 6 needles that were as thin as a cow's hair. There should be poison in them as well, but it should be a non-lethal, hidden anesthetic poison. To the descendants of the Tang sect, they could mix as much of this poison as they wanted. Others might not be able to see those details clearly, and they might not even be able to see a clue no matter how close they stood, but Yang Cheng's eyes could clearly capture all the details. Seeing that Tang Wan was still sitting on the ground and clutching her chest in shock, Yang Chung reached out a hand to her and said with a smile, "Is it comfortable to squat? Get up." Tang Wan blushed and hesitated for a moment. Then, she held Yang Cheng's hand and stood up. His warmth made her heart melt. "Thank you. Thank you for saving me." Yang Chung pointed to the door and said, "It was the mysterious heroine who saved him. I was just messing around. If it weren't for you, no one would have come to save us, let alone me." After all, Tang Wan was a successful woman in the business world. Her mind was very clear, and she quickly sorted out her thoughts. Yang Chung was helpless. There was nothing he could do if she wanted to flatter him. He accidentally became the savior. which made Yang Chung feel good psychologically. The police outside the bank had swarmed in. They handcuffed the robbers who had fainted inexplicably on the ground and dragged them out. The police had been driven crazy by this group of robbers in the past 2 months. At this moment, when they saw that the criminals were finally arrested, they were relieved, but they also secretly vented their anger on the robbers, intentionally or unintentionally. In a messy bank hall, customers began to walk out in fear, and several managers of the bank began to cooperate with the police to do follow-up work. Choi Yun hurriedly walked into the hall. After signing a few documents, she looked around and suddenly saw Yang Chung and Tang Wan standing together. She couldn't help but be stunned. She walked forward and looked at Yang Chung coldly. She suspiciously said, "Why are you here? The bank is not open by your family. Why can't I be here?" Yang Chung felt funny. Every time this kind of mess happens, you will be involved. How can I not suspect you? Choi Yun asked with a sneer. Chen Dihai's matter happened twice. Anshin's matter happened again, and Yang Chung inexplicably became Lin Ruoshi's husband. Others didn't know, but she was clear about Lin Ruoshi's real background and meaning, so she couldn't help but suspect whether Yang Chung had other motives. Yang Chung was a little annoyed. This policewoman seemed to be picking a fight with him. It wasn't like he wanted to get involved in this matter. But no matter what, she was still Lin Ruoshi's childhood friend, so he couldn't hurt her too much. He could only endure and said, "If there's nothing else, I'll be leaving first." "No." Choi Yun directly stood in front of Yang Chung. She frowned and said, "Are you guilty?" "Yang Chung, I now seriously suspect that you are an accomplice of the robbers, and even have a direct relationship with the recent 3 bank robberies. So you will be taken back to the police station as a suspect for joint investigation." There was a trace of coldness in Yang Cheng's eyes. "I can't afford to offend them, but I can't hide from them. Anyone would be angry about this, not to mention that Yang Chung had just experienced a fight, and his mood was not stable." But at this time, Tang Wan said, "Bureau Chief Kai, I believe that Mr. Yang is innocent. If he hadn't stepped forward and stalled the robbers, I would have been gone. The hostages here can't wait for the lady to rescue them. Please don't embarrass Mr. Yang." "President Tang, why are you with him?" Choi Yun also seemed to know Tang Wan. She said sternly, "This man is very dangerous. He has been to the police station several times. If it's not because of beating people, it's because he's involved in dirty things between men and women. In short, he's not a good person. I hope President Tang won't be deceived by the false image." Tang Wan looked at Yang Chung and saw Yang Chung smiling awkwardly at her. She knew that what Choi Yun said was true. She felt a little uncomfortable in her heart, but she thought that Yang Chung had just saved her. She couldn't let Choi Yun take him away. She could only continue to persuade. Let bygones be bygones. But it's all thanks to Mr. Yang. "Bureau Chief Kai, please do Tang Wan a favor and let Mr. Yang go." Choi Yun was in a difficult position. As the second daughter of the Kai family and the police chief of the West District of Zhonghai, she was very clear about this woman's connections and the forces behind this woman. Although she had the powerful Kai family behind her, it would definitely be difficult for her to move forward in Zhonghai in the future if she lost face. She really didn't understand why Tang Wan, a famous and wise woman, would help this man who didn't look like a good person. While Choi Yun was hesitating, Choi Yun's cell phone rang. She looked at the phone number. It turned out to be her sister Kai Ning. "Sister, where are you? Why did you disappear in a flash?" Choi Yun asked as soon as she picked up the phone. She was curious why her sister disappeared after settling the trouble. Kai Ning didn't answer and said lightly, "Don't make it difficult for that man." "Which man?" "Yang Chung." Choi Yun was stunned. Why was even her own sister helping this man? They knew each other. "Why, sister? I want to hear your reason." Choi Yun asked stubbornly. Kai Ning was silent for a moment. "Yeonyeon, listen to me. Don't make a big deal out of this. In short, I can guarantee that he has nothing to do with this robbery." "But no buts." Kai Ning's tone was serious. "He's not someone you can control. Don't provoke him in the future. Is he someone I can't deal with?" This sentence made Choi Yun's heart feel very uncomfortable. Could this hooligan be some national security personnel? Otherwise, why would her sister speak up for him? After hanging up, Choi Yun looked a little depressed. She looked up and saw Yang Cheng's impatient look. She was even more annoyed, but she couldn't go against her sister's wishes. She took a deep breath and gritted her teeth. All right, since President Tang has spoken up for you, I'll let you go today. But if something like this happens again, I won't let you off. Tang Wan smiled. Thank you, Bureau Chief Kai. Yang Cheng didn't want to stay any longer. He nodded at Tang Wan to express his gratitude and left the bank lobby. Tang Wan saw that Yang Cheng had left and wanted to stop him, but she didn't know what reason to use. She could only look away gloomily, her heart in a mess. Yang Cheng walked out of the bank lobby and was about to take advantage of the chaos to leave quietly. But suddenly, a large group of reporters with microphones and cameras rushed towards him. It's him, it's him. Sir, are you that hero? Everyone was shouting and talking at the same time. The surrounding people immediately focused their attention on Yang Cheng. The camera flashes kept flashing, and the situation was a little out of control. Yang Cheng gulped. What's going on? A group of reporters suddenly formed a semicircle with their microphones and placed them in front of Yang Cheng, forcing Yang Cheng to take a few steps back. Sir, I heard for the other hostages that you heroically held back a robber who was trying to rape a woman. Is that true? Sir, what's your name? What's your occupation? Sir, can you tell us the specific situation at that time? The reporters' questions came one after another, and their voices were sharp. But it also made Yang Cheng understand that one of the hostages who walked out had told them about his performance and pointed out that the person was him. The world needed good people, but there were many good people. After all, most of the bad people were in prison. So, everyone needed heroes. Heroes were worth more than good people. Otherwise, why would there always be people drawing heroes in comics and movies? Moreover, there were so many people who were willing to pay to see those fictional heroes. When a real-life urban hero appeared in front of the reporters, how could the reporters let it go so easily? Hype and gossip were enough to make this news topic sell like crazy. Yang Cheng was filled with hatred. He didn't know who was so talkative. Wasn't this forcing him to become famous? Just as Yang Cheng was depressed and didn't know what to do, the two cameras in front of him suddenly exploded with a pung, pung sound, and white smoke came out as they burned. Without waiting for the reporters to react, the cameras in the hands of the other reporters also suddenly had a chain reaction. Pung, 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 pung. A series of muffled sounds rang out, and all of them turned into broken pieces, as if they had been blown up by a time bomb. Seeing this opportunity, Yang Cheng immediately retreated. With his running speed, he naturally wouldn't be caught by the reporters. The reporters were all scared silly. What was going on? They had just finished taking photos and recording videos. Why were all the equipment destroyed? What was even stranger was that all the camera equipment storage device was destroyed. This really made the reporters look at each other. After all, this kind of thing was too strange. Yang Cheng, who ran away from the scene, quickly ran into a few small streets. After shuttling back and forth for a while, he came to a quiet street corner next to a newsstand. At the side of the newsstand, a woman wearing sunglasses was sitting at an open-air coffee table. She was holding a newspaper in her hand and reading quietly. Yang Cheng sat opposite the woman, took a deep breath, and said with a smile, I didn't expect the Tang sect's hidden weapon technique to be able to do this. It's even better than bullets. I don't even know how I destroyed those equipment. If you want to be famous, I can ask the reporters to take photos of you again. Flower Rain put down the newspaper in her hand and looked up at Yang Cheng. Yang Cheng hurriedly waved his hand. Don't really, I was just joking. I didn't mean anything else. Both of you sisters are so serious. If you don't have a sense of humor, your future boyfriend will be exhausted. A cold light flashed across Kai Ning's eyes behind her sunglasses. I can't beat you, but that doesn't mean you can bully me. TSK. Yang Cheng took a deep breath and smiled awkwardly. Miss Flower Rain, you're being too serious. I'm just thanking you for helping me out. You don't mind us knowing your whereabouts? I do, but there's always a gain and a loss. If I were in your shoes, I wouldn't carry a moving bomb around, Yang Cheng said with a smile. Kai Ning pondered for a moment and said, You're not a bomb, you're a nuclear bomb. The corner of Yang Cheng's mouth twitched, Seems like you have a sense of humor too. But this joke is a little cold. I'm telling the truth, Kai Ning said unwillingly. When I approached the bank just now, I purposely used my sex qigong, but you still noticed me. I really don't understand why. I clearly concealed my aura perfectly. Yang Chung laughed in his heart. So this girl was upset that her qigong was exposed. Do you want me to teach you how to truly conceal your aura? Are you willing? Flower Rain suppressed her excitement. No. How am I going to mingle in the future if I teach you? Yang Chung winked at her. Flower Rain's expression turned ugly after being teased. She stood up, turned around, and left. Seeing the cold beauty reveal such a deflated expression, Yang Chung felt an evil sense of satisfaction. He waved at her and said goodbye. It was early in the morning, and he still encountered a bank robbery when he wanted to withdraw some money. Yang Chung felt that he was really unlucky today and decided to return to the office first. After all, it was almost lunchtime. But just as he got up from his seat, the phone in his pocket vibrated. He took it out and looked at the number. It was actually Mother Wong calling. He had just quarreled with Lin Ruoshi at home yesterday, so Yang Chung thought that Mother Wong was trying to persuade him to come. But after all, she was an elder who cared about him, and he couldn't go against her wishes, so he quickly picked up the call. Son-in-law, are you okay? Are you okay? Mother Wong bombarded him with questions the moment the call ended. Yang Chung was stunned. Mother Wong, speak slowly. What do you mean, are you okay? There was a live broadcast of a bank robbery on the television just now, and you happened to be there. Miss and I happened to be at home, so we saw it on the television. Mother Wong's tone was slower, and she was relieved when she found out that Yang Chung was fine. What could happen to me? Aren't I fine now? Yang Chung comforted her. Mother Wong suddenly said, son-in-law. Miss saw the news and drove to find you in a hurry. She's probably on the way now. Are you still at the bank? Don't let Miss come empty-handed. She seems to be in a hurry. Lin Ruoshi drove to the bank to find me. Yang Chung was surprised. Doesn't this girl know how to make a phone call? Got it, Mother Wong. I will call her now. AI. Then I will hang up first. Mother Wong smiled with relief. After hanging up the phone, Yang Chung was about to search for Lin Ruoshi's phone number in his address book, but a problem that made his intestines grow mold appeared. His phone was out of battery. Chapter 171. He had been in Hong Kong for the past few days, and his phone had been on standby. When he returned to Zhonghai, he didn't have time to charge his phone after quarreling with Lin Ruoshi. As a result, the phone that hadn't been charged for more than a week finally ran out of battery. And it ran out of battery at the right time. Yang Chung scratched his head in distress. No matter how capable he was, he couldn't charge his phone with his bare hands, and he didn't have any brainwaves to directly contact Lin Ruoshi. Sadly, although Yang Chung had an amazing memory, like most modern people, he used his phone's address book. He didn't know how to remember people's phone numbers, so he couldn't use a public phone even if he wanted to. After thinking about it, Yang Chung had no choice but to go back to the scene of the crime. Yang Chung looked around, and it just so happened that the nearest place was a random clothing store. He ran in quickly, glanced around casually, and chose a short-sleeved shirt and crop pant from a few clothes racks. He also took a sun hat and ran into the fitting room. 3 minutes later, Yang Chung walked out of the clothing store with a different look. He lowered his head and dressed in a hip-hop outfit. It was impossible to tell that he was the original office worker. At the same time, at the entrance of Huaxia Bank, the police surrounded the crime scene with yellow warning banners. Even the reporters were blocked outside, and the public was not allowed to enter at will. The internal police were questioning the bank's senior management about the details of the crime, and many investigators were collecting specific evidence of the crime in the scene in an orderly manner. At this time, a red Bentley, like a rainbow, suddenly braked at the edge of the flower bed next to the crime scene. Wearing a white cotton sportswear, Lin Ruoshi, with her hair down, hurriedly ran out of the car, slammed the door, and quickly walked toward the warning banners. A police officer who was in charge of the scene immediately blocked in front of Lin Ruoshi and said nervously, "Miss, the crime scene is temporarily closed. Go away. I'm looking for someone," Lin Ruoshi said coldly. "Sorry, miss. I really can't let you in." The police officer was still a young man. His face turned red when he saw the icy beauty in front of him, but he still insisted on doing his job. Lin Ruashi ignored him and stepped forward, wanting to force her way in. After all, she was a woman who had been the CEO of a large company for a long time. At this moment, Lin Ruashi's gaze directly made the male police officer's legs go weak, and he didn't dare to stop her. "Sigh, what you doing, woman?" A policewoman with a sharp voice happened to arrive. Seeing that Lin Ruashi was about to force her way in, she immediately grabbed Lin Ruashi's arm and pulled her back. Lin Ruashi struggled to break free and looked at the policewoman angrily. "Don't touch me." "Yo, I can't touch you. Who do you think you are? The police are working on a case. What are you doing here? Are you an associate of the terrorists or an expert in our department? Why should I let you in?" The policewoman laughed sarcastically. "I said, I'm looking for someone." Lin Ruashi's voice rose by several degrees, but she was still a young girl in her 20s. Facing a 40-year-old policewoman in front of her, her imposing manner was a bit weaker. The policewoman sized up Lin Ruashi and snorted. "Looking for someone? This is called obstructing official business. Something happened here. It's not like there's only one victim. Why didn't the victim's family run in like crazy like you? Look at you, a pretty girl. Is there something wrong with your brain? Do you think that because you're pretty and you drove a luxury car, we, the police, deserve to let you in? Do you think the whole world owes you? Don't you see so many enthusiastic people around? The victim's family are all waiting obediently." Saying that, the policewoman pointed at the crowd outside the police cordon. Indeed, there were some people who were already dissatisfied with Lin Ruashi's sudden intrusion and looked at her with unfriendly expressions. Lin Ruashi was stunned on the spot. The words of the policewoman kept echoing in her ears. "Do you think that because you're pretty and you drove a luxury car, we, the police, deserve to let you in? Do you think the whole world owes you?" Similar words had just been said to her by that man last night. Today, there was another stranger saying the same thing to her. Lin Ruashi's pretty face was pale, and her breathing was a bit labored. The colorful gazes around her made her realize for the first time in her life that she was so unpopular. Silently turning around, Lin Ruashi wanted to walk back to the car. But after a few steps, she couldn't help but turn around and ask the policewoman with a pleading tone, I just want to see someone. I want to know how he is. Can you let me in?" If she didn't remember wrongly, Lin Ruashi knew that this was the first time she used such a tone to speak to someone. It was so humble, so weak. The policewoman seemed to be able to understand Lin Ruashi's feelings at the moment. Her expression softened a little, but she still shook her head. Rules are rules. If you want to see the hostage, you have to wait until the scene is settled. Lin Ruashi bit her thin lips, turned around sadly, and walked back to the car. Sitting in the car, Lin Ruashi's eyes immediately turned red. She lowered her head, and tears fell like a broken string of pearls, one by one. She didn't know why she wanted to cry so much, but she couldn't help that kind of sourness. Perhaps it was self-blame, or perhaps it was shame, or perhaps it was grievance. No matter what, Lin Ruashi felt that everything around her made her feel helpless. A feeling of powerlessness arose in her heart, and she felt that she was about to collapse. After quarreling with Yang Chung yesterday, although Mother Wang had comforted her, she had been fighting an intense internal struggle in her heart. Her pride didn't allow her to bow down to a man easily, but Yang Cheng's words when he left, his determination, had deeply hurt Lin Ruashi's heart, causing her faith to waver and her confidence to loosen. Originally, she thought that she could stand firmly in her original position and wouldn't compromise because of such a thing. In fact, that was how she had gone through her previous life experience. She just needed to be herself, and no one could force her to change. But unexpectedly, when she flipped to the headlines that morning, Yang Cheng's face flashed across the bank robbery case. When she saw the eye-catching words under the headlines, such as "many people injured" and "strong firepower," Lin Ruashi could no longer suppress her emotions. For the first time, even she felt inexplicably out of control. Lin Ruashi didn't change her clothes or tidy up her makeup. She rushed out of the house with a car key and went all the way to the crime scene. It wasn't until this moment that Lin Ruashi slowly realized that in her heart, She had actually put the man she called husband in such an important position. She was worried for him, anxious for him, afraid for him, and confused for him. Lin Ruashi sobbed, and her head slowly leaned on the steering wheel. Her hair fell down, and she looked lonely and sad. "Hey, you drive such an expensive car. Don't you know to lock the door when you get off?" A voice came from the passenger seat. Lin Ruashi suddenly raised her head and looked next to her. Yang Chung, who was wearing a cap, was smiling at her. What happened to me?" "You." Lin Ruashi wanted to ask if Yang Chung was injured, but now that she saw the same lazy smile, Lin Ruashi was speechless. Yang Chung looked at the woman in front of him, who was crying so hard that her eyes were red like peaches. He sighed and took a soft tissue from the paper box in the middle of the car. He naturally reached out and tucked the corners of Lin Ruashi's eyes. Her tears quickly soaked a large piece of tissue, and it was like a spring unable to be wiped off. Soon, Yang Chung took another 3 tissues, but Lin Ruashi's tears were like a flood released from the floodgates, and it was endless. Yang Chung frowned. "What are you crying for? I'm leaving if you keep crying. Are you done with your crying?" When Lin Ruashi heard that Yang Chung was leaving, she immediately reached out to wipe her eyes and choked back her tears. She pouted her pink lips and looked at Yang Chung pitifully without saying a word. "Phew." Yang Chung breathed a sigh of relief. It turned out that this woman could be scared when she cried. This was a good experience. He smiled and said, "I say, General Lin, can't you give me a call or something? Why did you drive here in such a hurry? And you still want to barge in?" This is not the style of the wise and calm General Lin. Lin Ruashi rubbed the corner of her clothes and whispered, I was too anxious just now." Yang Chung was stunned. "Too anxious? What's the rush? Anxious for me?" "Anxious to the point that I can't make a rational judgment, and even want to barge in and confront the police." He thought that she was silly just now, but now she seemed so cute. Thinking about it, Yang Cheng's heart warmed. This was a different kind of warm feeling. Yang Chung didn't know whether it was the love of a partner or the care of a family, but he suddenly enjoyed the sound of Lin Ruashi's sobs at this moment, because it made him feel his weight in a woman's heart. No matter how powerful a person was, what he did was nothing more than to let the people he cared about appreciate and value him. Narcissism was just boring self-comfort. "Yang Chung, are you okay?" Seeing that Yang Chung didn't speak, Lin Ruashi thought that he was not feeling well or injured, so she immediately asked. Yang Chung shook his head. "I was just thinking, why were you anxious when I treated you like that last night?" Lin Ruashi lowered her head and was silent for a moment. Then she said, "I'm sorry, it's my fault. I was too much and too willful. I apologize to you." Although he was mentally prepared, Yang Chung was still surprised to hear such words from Lin Ruashi's mouth. He smiled and said, "General Lin, I'm very flattered by your sudden action." Lin Ruashi pursed her lips. "You still won't forgive me, right? I've never really resented you. Your temperament is caused by the living environment you grew up in and your work experience. It's not incomprehensible for you to do that." "No, you definitely haven't forgiven me." Lin Ruashi looked at Yang Chung with certainty, her eyes full of hidden bitterness. "Why?" Yang Chung asked. Lin Ruashi murmured, "You used to don't call me General Lin." Yang Chung was stunned for a moment, then he smiled. "My good wife Ruashi, so you always like me to call you that." "What did I say?" "My wife, you're very coquettish on the inside." "You're the one who's coquettish on the inside." Lin Ruashi's face instantly blushed. She was so beautiful, but she finally put down a big stone in her heart. Only then did she believe that Yang Chung didn't really blame her. Yang Chung looked at the woman in front of him with a trace of satisfaction and said with emotion, "Ruashi, have you realized that we're becoming more and more like a normal husband and wife?" "Huh?" Lin Ruashi raised her head, obviously not understanding what he meant. "Between us, there's a cold war, there's bickering, there's disputes, there's communication, there's reconciliation. You'll be worried for me, and I'll be thinking for you. Actually, these things are all experienced by ordinary couples in their daily lives. No one could be happy and sweet together all the time. The small struggle between husband and wife could always bring new feelings and experiences. Of course, we're still lacking a lot, such as sweet words, support each other, understanding, and tolerance. Yang Chun said slowly, but I think we're definitely heading towards the most beautiful destination. One day, we'll be able to enjoy the happiness that ordinary couples have. As long as we can trust each other, that day won't be too far away. Look, the current you. Can't you already accept me calling you little Ruashi, baby Ruashi? After saying that, Yang Chung winked at her. Lin Ruashi was a little fascinated. She calmly smiled and nodded. I'll try my best to change it. Next time you go on a business trip, I'll call you to express my concern. Yang Chung didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This girl took it as a call to express her concern the next time he went on a business trip. He quickly explained, not only this matter, but other small details in life are also good ways to improve our relationship. For example, we give each other small gifts from time to time, go shopping together, watch a small movie, eat some snacks in a small restaurant that we can't usually eat. I think these kinds of life are good experiences for you and me. Lin Ruashi blushed and said, I don't really understand these things, seeing his iceberg wife suddenly become like a young lady in love, filled with rich emotions. Yang Chun felt that it was novel, and at the same time he felt a little playful. He reached out his hand to cover his left chest and acted as if he was in pain. Hiss! He sucked in a breath of cold air. As expected, Lin Ruashi became nervous. Yang Chun, what's wrong with you? Are you hurt? Didn't you just say you weren't hurt? Hee, I want to hide it from you. I was grazed by a bullet, but it's not serious. Yang Chun said painfully. When Lin Ruashi heard grazed by a bullet, she immediately asked, what should we do? I'll send you to the hospital. Right now? No need. Yang Chun sincerely said, put your hand on my chest, touch it, rub it, and I'll feel much better. Oh, Lin Ruashi didn't think too much. She stretched out her white and slender palm, wanted to press on Yang Cheng's chest. Suddenly, Lin Ruashi's movement paused. Her watery eyes, which were originally filled with worry, were filled with a layer of doubt. Gradually, the doubt turned into a dark cloud. Her pretty face, which had a concerned expression, also returned to its usual frosty expression and even became a lot colder. Lin Ruashi sneered and asked Yang Chung, what kind of gunshot wound? Is it that if I rub it with my hand, you'll feel much better? Yang Chung knew that his little trick had been seen through by Lin Ruashi, who had regained her calmness, so he could only smile. Yang Chung, you just said that we should trust each other. You lied to me so quickly. After a scream, the car shook. Under the surprised gaze of many people, Yang Chung escaped from the front passenger seat in embarrassment. He didn't even close the door as he ran away from the scene. Chapter 172. A day later, Yang Chung finally obtained the 1 million yuan from another Huaxia bank in Zhonghai and transferred it to his account. With this, Yang Chung became a millionaire for the first time since he returned to China. Yang Chung enjoyed the feeling of looking at money like an ordinary person. On Wednesday afternoon, Yang Chung and Li Jingjing made an appointment to meet at the Zhonghai Furniture Mall to help Li Jingjing buy some furniture. Li Jingjing came with a white sequin purse and wore a light yellow chiffon dress. She didn't have any makeup on her face and looked delicate and charming. Brother Yang, you can actually come on the weekends. It's not good to ask for leave like this because I have to work today, Li Jingjing said as they walked into the furniture mall. You're already moving in. How can you keep delaying the purchase of furniture? It's just half a day of classes. Your students aren't so stupid that they can't get into university without you. Yang Chung smiled indifferently. Li Jingjing said proudly, the kids in our class ranked first in the last monthly exam. They're all very smart. Yang Chung thought of the girl who was also Li Jingjing's student. How are Tongtong's grades? That girl is very clever. Is she playful and doesn't like to study? Tang Dang has been very obedient recently. It seems that her mother is quite strict with her. Her grades are top 10 in the whole grade. I think she still has a lot of potential. If she's more self-conscious, she might be able to get into the top 3. Li Jingjing talked about her student with relish. Yang Chung was a little surprised. No wonder that girl didn't look for him for so long. She occasionally played Warcraft with Yuan Yi online, and Yuan Yi also said that Tangdang hadn't looked for him for a long time. It turned out that she was working hard for the college entrance examination. Brother Yang, you care about Tangdang a lot? Li Jingjing asked sourly. Yang Cheng was stunned and touched his nose. Jingjing, your brother Yang isn't at the stage where I'm so hungry that I can't be choosy. Li Jingjing pursed her lips and nodded. It seems that big brother Yang's taste is very high. At least, Tang Tang and I can't become big brother Yang's food. Yang Cheng felt bitter. This last was really too much. Ever since she became a teacher, she had become so eloquent. He pretended to be ignorant and said, "What food? I'm here to buy you furniture today. Don't play these guessing games with me." Li Jingjing glanced at him and said, "Oh." According to Li Jingjing, the entire apartment lacked a small set of sofas and dining tables, so the two of them walked directly to the sofa sales area. When the saleswoman introduced the various high-end mahogany sofas to the two, Li Jingjing was completely dumbfounded by the prices of these sofas. Although she had thought of buying a sofa, she didn't have much of an idea of the specific price of sofa because her family had never bought one since she was a child. When she saw the long list of prices, Li Jingjing carefully pulled on Yang Cheng's sleeves. "Brother Yang, forget it. Let's go to a smaller store and take a look. I think these sofas are too expensive. Today, I'm the one giving it to you. These are what you deserve," Yang Cheng said. Li Jingjing firmly shook her head. "No, brother Yang. I still haven't paid you back for the clothes you bought me last time. I can't accept such an expensive gift from you. I already said, these are what you deserve," Yang Cheng sternly said. "When I returned to China, I was unfamiliar with the people and the place. If it wasn't for Jingjing trusting me and letting me get to know your family, I wouldn't have been able to integrate into this society so quickly. Maybe you don't know, but when I returned to China, I had some psychological problems. Thanks to you, I quickly returned to my normal state. I didn't tell you before, but I'm telling you now. I hope you don't have too much guilt. These monetary returns are far from the help you gave me." Although Li Jingjing didn't know what kind of help Yang Cheng was talking about, she knew that Yang Cheng was only repaying her. The sense of guilt in her heart was reduced, but at the same time, there was an infinite sense of loss. After all, he was only repaying her rationally, not because of any feelings. Yang Cheng saw Li Jingjing's sadness, but he couldn't say anything more. Li Jingjing was different from other women who were close to him. Her parents, old Li and his wife, were friends to him. If he regarded Li Jingjing as a lover, maybe Li Jingjing would accept it happily, but he had no face-to-face old Li and his wife. He could only take care of her as a younger sister and give her care and care in life. For Yang Cheng to accept Li Jingjing's feelings from time to time without any scruples, it was as difficult as ascending to heaven. Just as Yang Cheng decided to buy a light orange sofa, a voice that he didn't like to hear suddenly appeared in front of him. "Mr. Yang, I didn't expect to meet you here." Zhang Xinlin, who was wearing a black suit and a pair of black-rimmed glasses, suddenly walked over slowly from not far away. With a strange smile on his face, he looked between Yang Cheng and Li Jingjing, intentionally or unintentionally. After the battle of words with Zhang Xinlin that night, he hadn't seen this so-called senior again. He didn't expect to meet him on such an occasion. "Director Zhang is also here to look at the furniture?" Yang Cheng smiled relaxedly, while Li Jingjing, who was behind him, stood behind Yang Cheng with a bashful expression. Zhang Xinlin touched the nearest sofa emotionally. "I just moved to Zhonghai not too long ago, and my house still lacks a sofa. I like to decorate the place I live in myself, so I came over to take a look." Then Director Zhang, "Take your time to look. We have already finished looking." "Sigh, Mr. Yang, why are you in such a hurry? I was just about to say that when I was still in school, I also came here to buy furniture for myself. However, at that time, I still had Ruashi to accompany me. It's just that I didn't expect that things would remain the same, but people would change." Looking at this scene, "I feel very emotional," Zhang Xinlin said with a smile that wasn't a smile. Yang Cheng was in a bad mood. Why would Lin Ruashi accompany me to buy furniture for no reason? However, he knew that he couldn't show it, so he casually said, This means that director Zhang's charm isn't enough. What shouldn't be yours will never be yours. Of course, I'm not as charming as Mr. Yang. Marrying such a beautiful woman and having so many beauties to accompany you. I wonder who the beautiful lady beside Mr. Yang is to you? Zhang Xinlin finally asked the most important question. However, when Li Jingjing heard this question, she perked up and looked at Yang Cheng nervously. This was also a question that she had always wanted to ask, but she didn't dare to ask it. This was because she was afraid that the answer would completely shatter her dreams. Yang Cheng was silent for a moment, then said calmly, "This Miss Li is the daughter of a good friend of mine. I treat her like my younger sister. Mr. Zheng, don't think too much." Younger sister? Li Jingjing turned her head away and bit her lips. Although she had already guessed that this would be the answer, she was the only one who could understand the feeling of actually hearing it. A hint of understanding flashed through Zheng Xinlin's eyes, and his smile became even gentler. "So that's how it is. I'm really envious that even Mr. Yang's younger sister is so pure and refined. If there's nothing else, we'll be leaving." Yang Cheng really had the urge to punch Zheng Xinlin, because Zheng Xinlin's smile made him feel very uncomfortable. Furthermore, it was as if there was a treacherous plot brewing in this guy's heart. After paying and arranging the details of the furniture delivery, Yang Cheng brought Li Jingjing back to the car and drove towards Li Jingjing's apartment. In the car, Yang Cheng saw Li Jingjing's sorrowful expression and sighed. "Jingjing, I'm sorry. Big Brother Yang, you don't have to be sorry. I already know my position in Big Brother Yang's heart, and I won't ask for anything." Li Jingjing raised her head and forced a smile. "Big Brother Yang, that guy seems to be full of hostility towards you. He was my wife's senior in university. He was very dissatisfied with me marrying my wife." Yang Cheng didn't hide anything. He knew that if he were to hide anything from Li Jingjing at this time, it would be the greatest harm to the girl. Li Jingjing nodded her head in understanding and said with a smile, "I've never seen what kind of person sister-in-law is. She must be a super beauty. That bad guy looks well-dressed, and ordinary women definitely won't be interested in him. Yeah, she's indeed not an ordinary woman. Ordinary men wouldn't be able to stand her," Yang Cheng said with a bitter smile. Li Jingjing pondered for a moment. "I wonder who's more beautiful, sister-in-law Yang or the big sister I met at the orphanage?" "The big sister you met at the orphanage?" Yang Cheng frowned. "Why did Li Jingjing have another big sister?" "Yeah, didn't I mention it before when I brought you there? I went there because I was influenced by that big sister. That's why I wanted to bring storybooks for the children and tell them stories." Li Jingjing's mood became a lot better. She smiled and said, "When I played with the children last week, that big sister was also there. Although we didn't ask each other's names, we chatted a lot. She said that she would bring me to her house to play in the future and let me see some good things." "Good things? What good things?" Yang Cheng asked. Li Jingjing blushed and said, "I said that I like Hello Kitty's things." That big sister was very happy. She said that she has a lot of collector's editions of Hello Kitty and would bring me to see them. No matter how unsophisticated Yang Cheng was, he knew what a Hello Kitty was. He didn't expect two girls in their 20s to talk about this. He couldn't help but smile. However, it was always a good thing for Li Jingjing to make a new friend. She could volunteer at the orphanage all year round, so her character shouldn't be bad. After arriving at Li Jingjing's apartment, Yang Cheng looked at the building in front of him. Although it was a bit old, it didn't feel run down. The surrounding security was also quite good, which made him feel a lot more at ease. After getting off the car together, they walked up the stairs to the 4th floor of the apartment. At the entrance of Li Jingjing's apartment, the two saw a person sitting at the staircase in front of the door. The two couldn't help but be stunned. Chapter 173. "Dad, why are you here?" Li Jingjing called out softly. Old Li stood up from the staircase. He was holding a cigarette in his hand. He had been smoking by himself in silence, as if he was thinking about something. "I'm worried about you, so I came to take a look." Old Li smiled kindly at Li Jingjing, then looked at Yang Cheng and said, "Xiao Yang, you're here too. We haven't seen each other for a long time." Yang Cheng saw that Old Li was a little uncomfortable, so he roughly understood in his heart. He smiled and said, "Yeah, there's been a lot of things recently, but I still go to the market to buy breakfast. I just haven't seen you much. Old Lee nodded and hesitantly looked at Li Jingjing and Yang Cheng. You guys, what did you guys do? Dad, Brother Yang brought me to buy some furniture. He said that he wanted to look at my house. Li Jingjing explained. Don't think too much. Old Lee sighed. Jingjing, don't blame me for talking too much. Your mom hasn't been in a good mood these days. It's fine if you move out alone, but you can't always ignore her words. Marriage is not a joke. Li Jingjing lowered her head and remained silent. Yang Cheng knew that these words were actually meant for him, but Old Li gave him face and didn't directly ask him to leave Li Jingjing. Xiaoyang, don't blame me for talking too much. I only have one daughter, Jingjing. Old Li said with a dry face. I heard from Jingjing that you're already married. You should also pay attention to your image. If you get too close, it won't be good for the both of you. Yang Cheng nodded in understanding. He looked at Li Jingjing, whose face was a little pale, and felt helpless in his heart. In the end, he still couldn't play the role of an ordinary person. Indeed, as a parent, how could he tolerate his only daughter being with a married man? She was still so young, so beautiful, and so pure. He had always simplified some things too naturally, often neglecting the feelings of ordinary people. In the current situation, he really shouldn't make things difficult for Old Li and his wife. Perhaps it would be good for everyone to keep a distance from Li Jingjing. Jingjing, I'll leave first. I'm relieved to know that your place is safe. Listen to your father and don't let your mother be worried. Yang Cheng said. Li Jingjing's eyes were a little red, but she replied softly, Got it. Yang Cheng didn't stay any longer. After saying goodbye to Old Li, he left the apartment. On the way back to the company, Yang Cheng recalled a lot of the happy scenes he had with Old Li's family when he had just returned to the country. He really felt guilty to their family and made up his mind not to take the initiative to contact Li Jingjing in the future. Back in the company's office, a group of female public relations workers were busy and anxious. Even the youngest girls, who usually couldn't stay idle, were either working hard or trying to communicate gently with customers through the phone. Yang Cheng suddenly felt that he was a bit different. It was fine when everyone was idle, but when they were busy like this, it was a bit awkward for him to be an idle person in the office. Walking to his seat, Yang Cheng turned on the computer. After playing games for a while, Zhao Hongyan, who was the closest to him, took a document and walked to Yang Cheng's side. She put on Yang Cheng's desk and said, Yang Cheng, help me give this document to Sister Mingyu in the office. I'm going out to see a customer. Thank you. After saying that, Zhao Hongyan twisted her buttocks wrapped in a red short skirt and carried a small handbag and hurriedly ran out. Yang Cheng smiled speechlessly. He picked up the document and went to the door of Lu Mingyu's department head office and knocked on the door. Please come in. Yang Cheng opened the door. This was the first time Yang Cheng entered this office after Mo Chinny left. Now the woman sitting in the department head chair had been replaced by Lu Mingyu. Seeing that the mature female public relations worker who was bullied by department head Ma had become one of the company's top executives, Yang Cheng sighed. Time really flies. Lu Mingyu was facing the computer screen, her hands typing something on the keyboard. When she saw Yang Cheng enter the door, she was a bit surprised, but then she smiled gently. This is what Hong Yin asked me to give to you. She's busy seeing a customer. Yang Cheng put the document on the desk. Lu Mingyu nodded. Thank you. Seeing that she was busy, Yang Cheng turned around and was about to leave. But just as he was about to walk out the door, Lu Mingyu stopped him. Yang Cheng, can you do me a favor? Lu Mingyu asked. Of course, I'm the most free person in the entire department. Yang Cheng said with a smile. Lu Mingyu pursed her lips and rolled her eyes at him. Here's the thing. In the afternoon, I plan to go to the autumn fashion show to meet with the person in charge of Donghua technology. The models from various modeling companies are already in the mock show. I want to confirm the progress of the venue layout and see how the models are doing. Can you accompany me? Although she was already the department head of the company, Lu Mingyu didn't buy herself a car. On the one hand, it was the financial problem of her family. On the other hand, it was better to take a taxi than to buy a car in Zhonghai. Naturally, Yang Cheng didn't have any objections. Although he didn't know why Lu Mingyu wanted him to accompany her, it was more comfortable to be a driver than sit in the office and be a different kind of employee. After Lu Mingyu packed up, the two of them left the company and went to the Zhonghai International Convention and Exhibition Center that was rented for the autumn fashion show. When they arrived at the Convention and Exhibition Center, Zhang Ming, the person in charge of the project from Donghua Technology, was already waiting at the door. He was a middle-aged man in a white shirt and had a good appearance. He was 1.8 meters tall and could be considered a high-class white-collar worker. When Zhang Ming saw Lu Mingyu, he was obviously a bit excited. But when he saw Yang Cheng, who accompanied Lu Mingyu, his expression seemed to be unnatural. Lu Mingyu signaled to Yang Cheng with her eyes. Yang Cheng suddenly realized that no wonder he was suddenly called along. It turned out that the other party wasn't a good person. Lu Mingyu was also especially cautious after the incident with Department Head Ma. Miss Lu Mingyu is a model example of a serious and responsible person. I didn't think that you would personally come here to inspect so late at night. Zhang Ming took the initiative to extend his hand to shake Lu Mingyu's. Lu Mingyu smiled formally and shook his hand simply. A model can't make any mistakes on the runway. The degree of compatibility with the runway is also very important. If I don't see the final result, my heart will always be uneasy. Zhang Ming felt that Lu Mingyu was wary of him, and his expression became more and more unpleasant. He directly forced a smile and made a gesture of invitation, leading Lu Mingyu and Yang Cheng into the venue. As soon as they entered the Convention and Exhibition Center, the strong lighting effect made Yang Cheng feel that the entire space was like a scene from a magic movie. On the runway, with bright lines, rows of tall and slender models wearing ordinary clothes were training on the runway, making the final sprint for the show that was going to be held soon. Because the modeling company was international, many of the models on the runway were blonde Westerners, which made Yang Cheng feel a little nostalgic. After all, in the past, most of the women he saw were Western women. The director of Donghua Technology, Zhang Ming, knew that he didn't have a chance to get close to Lu Mingyu today, so he gave a simple reason and directly left. After Lu Mingyu brought Yang Cheng around the Convention and Exhibition Center, she let out a sigh of relief and said with a smile, "Looks like there's no problem. The stage and lighting have achieved the desired effect. This task can basically be completed. Don't you need to communicate with the models?" Yang Cheng asked. Lu Mingyu smiled weirdly and said, "You're the one who wants to communicate, right? Your eyes keep glancing at the models. As expected, men are not good things. I'm just looking at their postures from a purely appreciative perspective. Appreciating beautiful things shouldn't be considered a bad habit. I hope that's the case, otherwise I would have misjudged you," Lu Mingyu said with a face full of disbelief. "Don't chase away the wolf. Let a lion in the door." Yang Cheng smiled. "Even if I'm a lion, you still didn't let me in the door, right?" Lu Mingyu's face blushed. This topic was a little ambiguous, so she changed the topic. "To be honest, sometimes I really envy those models. They can always walk so confidently and proudly. They're all flat-chested. What's there to envy?" Yang Cheng mumbled. "Flat-chested." Lu Mingyu couldn't help but giggle. The reason why most of these international models don't have big breasts is so that they can better support all kinds of fashionable clothes. Now that you mention it, they're like a pitiful airport. They're all bones. I can't feel anything when I touch them." Yang Cheng lost interest. "As if you've really touched them before." Lu Mingyu rolled her eyes at him in disdain. Yang Cheng chuckled. "How could I not have touched them before? I've touched them quite a bit, but it's meaningless to say it out loud. Actually, rather than saying that I envy their work, it's more like I'm envious that they can freely display the beauty of young girls." Lu Mingyu looked at the models on the runway in fascination and said, "I'm not afraid that you'll laugh at me if I tell you this. In another year or two, I'll really be in my 30s. But I haven't even worn a set of sexy clothes. I've never been in a relationship, not to mention those crazy and exciting things that young people do nowadays. Sometimes when I think about it, I've been muddle-headed all these years." "Didn't you have a boyfriend for a few years?" Yang Cheng remembered that Lu Mingyu once told him that her boyfriend went to the army and never came back. Lu Mingyu smiled bitterly. "I met him in university. Before he went to the army, he told me to wait for him. But ever since he joined the army, he never contacted me again. Some of my friends said that if it were them, They would have mutiny long ago, but I was afraid that he would come back one day and say that I let him down, so I didn't look for a boyfriend again. Actually, until now, although I occasionally think of him, sometimes I can't even remember what he looks like. Am I too stupid? Yang Cheng felt that Lu Mingyu was not worth it. After all, with her beauty, it was too expensive to waste so much of her youth waiting for a man who would never come back. But this was her private matter, so it wasn't appropriate for him to say too much. So he only said, "As long as you think it's worth it." "Is that so?" Lu Mingyu smiled faintly. "That's true." Seeing that it was getting late, Lu Mingyu suggested, "Since you're working so hard as a chauffeur and also helping me block flies, I'll treat you to dinner." "Where to?" Yangqing also felt hungry. "The old place." Lu Mingyu blinked and said. Chapter 174. The old place Lu Mingyu was referring to was the restaurant where she first brought Yang Cheng to eat. It was also the restaurant where Yang Cheng came to eat alone and met Li Jingjing and Jiang Shua. After calling his mother Wang, Yang Cheng drove Lu Mingyu to this local famous Chinese restaurant. After entering a corner of the hall, the two sat down. After ordering, they naturally began to chat. But not long after, Lu Mingyu, who was laughing happily, suddenly showed a shocked expression on her face. She stood up from her seat with a whoosh. Her eyes were looking in the direction of the restaurant's entrance. "Sister Mingyu, what's wrong?" Yang Cheng puzzledly turned his head and looked in the direction Lu Mingyu was looking at. When he saw the person walking towards him, Yang Cheng first felt a sense of déjà vu. After thinking about it carefully, he remembered that it was the female PR from another company that he and Lu Mingyu had met the first time they came here to eat. It was Wang Yu, whom Yang Cheng had teased and called Matsushima Kid. Wang Yu was not wearing a professional suit. Instead, she was wearing a light pink floral dress and white high heels. Her petite and exquisite body, coupled with her eyeshadow and red lips, was indeed full of feminine charm. She didn't bring two male attendants like last time. Instead, her hand was softly holding onto a tall man. She looked like a little bird, very happy. The man was wearing a well-tailored Armani suit. The smooth lines and delicate light-colored patterns highlighted the man's tough temperament, making him particularly charming. The man's physique was relatively strong. His skin was pale, and he had sharp eyebrows and starry eyes. Walking together with Wang Yu, they attracted the attention of countless people in the restaurant. Yang Cheng didn't understand why Lu Mingyu had such a strong reaction. Even when she saw Wang Yu, a competitor in the same industry, last time Lu Mingyu was very calm and did not panic. But at this moment, when Lu Mingyu looked at the man and woman walking slowly, her mature and beautiful face turned green and white, and her breathing was abnormally short. At this time, Wang Yu and the man, who were approaching, finally noticed Lu Mingyu, who was standing there. Because she had just been appointed as the head of the public relations department, Lu Mingyu's attire was much more restrained than before. She wore an old-fashioned black suit, loose black cotton trousers, and a pair of short sandals. But with her outstanding, delicate appearance, it was easy to recognize the unique beauty of a mature woman. The moment the man and Lu Mingyu's eyes met, the man seemed to be stunned for a moment, but then he immediately returned to normal and continued to walk over with a smile. When Wang Yu saw Lu Mingyu, she immediately stared at her as if she had seen an enemy. "Oh, it's the newly appointed head of Yulei. You're really haunting me." Lu Mingyu did not speak, but her eyes were already a little red. She looked at the man beside Wang Yu with tears. Wang Yu noticed Lu Mingyu's strange expression. She followed her gaze and found that she was looking at the man beside her. She immediately smiled proudly. "It seems that Head Lu is very interested in my boyfriend. How about it? My Chi-Chi is very handsome, right? Come to think of it, Head Lu has been like this for so many years. She has been selling herself to this and that. I guess she can't find a boyfriend anymore. Which man wants her? How pitiful." Lu Mingyu turned a deaf ear to it. She stared at the man beside Wang Yu and asked, "Chi Kai, when did you come back?" The man named Chi Kai smiled relaxedly. "Actually, I retired more than a year ago. However, I was working in another province as a department manager in a company. 2 months ago, I returned to Zhonghai and became the director of the branch here. More than a year ago. Lu Mingyu shook her head slightly. Why? Why don't I know anything? What do you want to know? Why do you want to know? Chi Kai felt it was ridiculous. He raised his eyebrows and said, although we had a good relationship in college, we didn't have to report everything to you. Seeing that Chi Kai and Lu Mingyu knew each other, Wang Yu immediately said to Chi Kai coquettishly, Chi, how can you talk to this vixen? I forbid you to talk to her. Chi Kai reached out his finger and scratched Wang Yu's small pointed chin with an evil smile. Vixen? You are the vixen. She's just my old classmate. Why are you jealous of her words? You are so annoying. Wang Yu shook Chi Kai's hand. Her face was full of shyness, just like an innocent girl. Lu Mingyu bit her thin lips, took a deep breath, and said with a sad smile, Old classmate? I don't know who was the one who said that I must wait for him when I got on the train, and said that he must come back here and live with me for the rest of his life. Chi Kai, you really let me down. Yang Cheng, who was sitting next to them, finally understood that this man was the boyfriend that Lu Mingyu had been waiting for. But now it seemed that this man had played a trick on Lu Mingyu. Chi Kai frowned and said, Lu Mingyu, when you were in college, you were young and didn't know anything. You just said it casually. How can those things count? I don't believe that you haven't found a man to relieve your loneliness for so many years. Nowadays, it's normal for a beautiful woman to have 3 or 4 male lovers. Don't cry in front of me. I've seen a lot of it. It's useless to me. Lu Mingyu's face turned red. She gritted her teeth and said, You are shameless. You are obscene. Chi Kai snorted coldly and said, Lu Mingyu, although we are old classmates, you should pay attention to your image. You have to be responsible for saying such words in public. There is nothing between us. When we were in college, we were just a little closer. The most I've done is hold your hand. We haven't even kissed, let alone touched your body. You want me to hold you in the palm of my hand and wait for so many years to come back and marry you? You're taking it for granted. That's right, that's right. Wang Yu, who had already understood what was going on, was very excited. She continued to mock Lu Mingyu. And here I thought you had some sort of relationship with my Chi. We're just holding hands, and you want me to like you? Lu Mingyu, you're too shameless. Chi only loves me now. You old woman, get lost. Lu Mingyu held back her tears and sneered. Chi Kai, you have good taste. I was blind. I misjudged you. However, you don't seem to have good taste either. It's your retribution for betraying me that you like Wang Yu. Thousand Rider. Lu Mingyu, who are you talking about? Who is a Thousand Rider? Wang Yu was furious. Chi Kai stopped Wang Yu's agitation. Hey baby, why are you angry? Didn't you see that Lu Mingyu also brought a lover? As he spoke, Chi Kai pointed at Yang Chun, who had been sitting there without saying a word. Smiling, he said, Lu Mingyu, your taste isn't that great either. How could you let a country bumpkin like him have sex with you? I can see that you've been fooling around with men for the past few years. I heard that you are now a department head. I guess it has not been easy. I advise you to stop fooling around in the future. If you get sick, I don't have extra money to lend you to treat your illness. After all, my career is still on the rise. Take care of yourself. Take it as a warning from your old classmate. Ha! Wang Yu laughed happily. Chi, well said. I love you to death. Then, Wang Yu jumped up and kissed Chi Kai on the cheek. She looked at Chi Kai coquettishly, revealing an intoxicated expression. Chi Kai looked provocatively at Lu Mingyu and Yang Cheng, and said with a smile, Let me tell you, Lu Mingyu, I have returned to Zhonghai. In the future, I will take root in this area. Don't spread your nonsense everywhere. I have never given you a promise, and I have never asked you to give me a promise. You don't have any evidence to back up your nonsense. I think it's more or less just your delusion. You better behave yourself. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude to you. After saying that, he gave Lu Mingyu a warning look and pulled Wang Yu away. Wait! Yang Cheng, who was sitting a moment ago, stood up unwillingly and stopped Chi Kai. Chi Kai turned around and asked with an arrogant smile, What? You want to stand up for your woman? Be a coward? Yang Chun glanced at Lu Mingyu, who was standing at the side with an ashen face. Sighing, he said to Chi Kai, I'm an outsider, so it's not my place to ask about the matter between you and Sister Mingyu. But you said that Sister Mingyu is my woman. I have to declare that she is not. There is nothing between me and Sister Mingyu. Moreover, what you said just now was insulting to me. This should be considered a personal attack. You must apologize to me now. Apologize? Chikai seemed to have heard the funniest joke and said happily, Kid, do you know what kind of soldier I was in the army? What? I'm a field soldier, a special force. I specialize in capturing criminals. I've killed quite a few people, Chikai said coldly. Yang Chung shook his head. That has nothing to do with me. I'm asking you if you apologize. Apologize? I didn't say anything wrong. Why should I apologize? I won't apologize. What do you do to me? You better apologize. I don't want to make a big deal out of this and affect everyone's meal here, Yang Chung said as he looked around. Chikai snorted coldly. Your words sound like fart to me. Let me tell you, if you dare to act like this in front of me again and ask me to apologize, I will knock you down on the spot. Without waiting for Chikai to finish speaking, Yang Chun, who was standing at the same spot, suddenly took a step forward and appeared in front of Chikai. His speed was like an afterimage. Chikai only saw a blur before his body flew uncontrollably into the air. After his arm was grabbed by a huge force, his body was lifted forward. Bang! Bang, 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 bang. Chikai's strong body, which was more than 8 meters tall, suddenly flew in a curved arc in the air. He flipped over from Yang Cheng's shoulder and smashed into the dining table behind Yang Cheng. At the same time that the table was smashed in half by this huge force, the food and drinks on the table also fell to the ground. The bowls and plates shattered and splashed onto Chikai's expensive Armani suit. The customers in the restaurant screamed. Many quickly left their seats and hid far away to see what was happening. As for Lu Mingyu and Wang Yu, the two women stood dumbfounded at the side, as if they couldn't believe that in the blink of an eye, Chikai, who was talking and laughing just a moment ago, had been thrown over his shoulder by Yang Chung and knocked to the ground. Yang Chung walked forward and stepped on Chikai's chest. On the ground, Chikai, who was stained by the food, was in a sorry state. He was coughing because of the shock just now, and his consciousness was a little fuzzy. I told you to apologize, so apologize. Do you think it's easy for me to spend money on a meal? It's fine if you don't apologize, but you still want to say that you're a special forces soldier and want to knock me down? Knock your sister down? I hate it when people threaten me. After Yang Chung finished speaking, he stepped on Chikai's chest a little harder. Chikai spat out a mouthful of blood, staining the white shirt on his chest. Chapter 175. The manager of the restaurant rushed to the scene and almost fainted when he saw Yang Chung stomping on Chikai until he vomited blood. Sir, show some mercy. Show some mercy. The manager ran up, sweating profusely. He finally hated himself for not hiring security to save money. This was not a fight. This was murder. Yang Chung released his foot and took 2 steps back to let the manager help Chikai up. Chikai struggled to stand up. His physique as a soldier from the Special Forces was still very robust. However, Yang Chen's kick had also made him spit out a mouthful of blood. Although his muscles and bones weren't injured, he wouldn't be able to recover in a short period of time. He would need at least 10 days to half a month to recuperate. Wang Yu, who was still in a daze, immediately ran to Chikai's side and pushed the manager aside to help Chikai up. She cried and asked, Chi-Chi, are you okay? Chi-Chi, are you okay? How can I be okay after vomiting blood? Chikai roared at Wang Yu with his blood-filled mouth. However, he started coughing violently as soon as he finished shouting. Yang Chung turned around and asked Lu Mingyu, do you still want to eat? Lu Mingyu had already been pulled back to reality by Yang Cheng's sudden outburst. She looked at Yang Chung worriedly and shook her head slightly. No, don't worry about him. Let's go. Yang Chung walked out of the restaurant after he finished speaking. Chikai was furious. If he were to leave after the fight, where would he put his face? So he shouted, you, stop right there. Yang Chung turned around with a weird smile and asked, what? Want revenge? Chikai felt an inexplicable sense of fear from Yang Cheng's cold gaze. The thought of attacking was instantly extinguished. He gritted his teeth and said, I will call the police. Just you wait and see. Up to you. Yang Chung didn't care at all. Even if Chi Kai was crippled, the police wouldn't do anything to him. Not to mention that he only made Chi Kai spit out a mouthful of blood. The attitude of the Yellow Flame Iron Brigade could be seen from Flower Rain's intervention last time. At the current stage, they were unwilling to move, and they did not dare to move. This was also the situation that Yang Chung was happy to see. Seeing that Yang Chung was about to leave, Lu Mingyu didn't care too much. She took out 2 100 yuan bills and gave them to the restaurant manager. Then, she quickly followed him out. The guests who stayed in the restaurant pointed their fingers at Chi Kai and Wang Yu, and most of them whispered about Chi Kai's bad luck. They were also very curious about the identity of Yang Chung, who had just walked out of the door. He was so unscrupulous in beating people in front of so many people. Wang Yu had always been someone who cared about her reputation. Seeing that Chi Kai's face was ashen, but he did not move, she pouted coquettishly. Chi, look, that person is looking down on you. How can you tolerate this? Hurry up and call the police. Didn't you tell me that Deputy Chief Liu of the West Side Police Station is your father's friend? Ask him to do you a favor and kill that adulterous couple. Being provoked by Wang Yu, Chi Kai also put aside his concerns about Yang Chung. He snorted coldly and took out his phone to make a call. Soon, a middle-aged man's cheerful voice came from the other end of the phone. Ha, Chi Kai, I heard from your father that you've returned to Zhonghai. Not bad. I even wanted to call Uncle Liu. Uncle Liu, don't mention it. I've only been back for such a short time, and I've already been set up. What? Who dares to set you up? Uncle Liu will help you. Chi Kai smiled proudly. Uncle Liu, just now I was eating at the Cantonese restaurant near your police station, and I was accidentally kicked by a man. You have to do something about this. He must have eaten a bear's heart and a leopard's gall. You dare to cause trouble here? Don't worry, Uncle Liu is here. Chi Kai, tell me that man's name, and I will immediately check it for you. Chi Kai looked at Wang Yu, who had shaken hand with Yang Chung before and knew Yang Cheng's name, so she quickly told Chi Kai. Chi Kai said, his name is Yang Chung, and he works for Yu Lei International. Uncle Liu, this is related to the personal safety of ordinary people. Such a person should be put in prison for more than 10 years. On the other end of the phone, Deputy Director Liu agreed with a smile, but not long after, he suddenly made a sound, and then there was no more sound. Chi Kai frowned, feeling that the situation was not very good. Uncle Liu, are you there? Why aren't you talking? Have you checked? Chi Kai, after a long time, Deputy Director Liu said slowly, you've just returned to Zhonghai. Don't cause trouble. Some things, if not serious, just let it go. Young people should not be rash. Take a step back, and the world will be clear. Uncle Liu, this matter, just let it go. Uncle Liu, you can't do this. Why do you suddenly want me to let it go? Chi Kai, I'm about to have a meeting. First, say hello to your father for me. Goodbye. Deputy Director Liu quickly hung up the phone. Chi Kai angrily threw the phone on the floor tiles. What the hell is this meeting? What kind of meeting is this after work? Are you trying to fool a child? Chi Kai clenched his teeth and said. Seeing that her plan had failed, Wang Yu disdainfully said, I think your relationship is not strong enough. I thought your family was very powerful. Pa. Chi Kai suddenly slapped Wang Yu's face, making Wang Yu dumbfounded. F***, get away from me. I don't want to see you. After Chi Kai finished cursing, he left the stunned Wang Yu and quickly left the restaurant under the strange gazes of a large number of customers. Almost at the same time, Lu Mingyu, who ran out of the restaurant, caught up with Yang Chung, and the two had already gotten into Yang Cheng's car. Lu Mingyu's face was full of worry as she said anxiously, Yang Chung, you're too impulsive. Chi Kai's family has an official background. He'll really call the police to arrest you. Yang Chung looked at Lu Mingyu with a smile that was not a smile. At this moment, his intellectual and charming face was full of nervousness. Sister Mingyu, I feel very gratified. What? Lu Mingyu did not understand. I hate your boyfriend, but you only care about me. Should I set off firecrackers to celebrate? Yang Chung said with a smile. Lu Mingyu lowered her head and said faintly, He's not my boyfriend. It's just that I, a silly woman, have made a mistake for so many years. A beautiful woman, since her university days, had wanted to live together with a man until old age. Even if that man suddenly joined the army and only said at the train station that she would wait for him, the woman would still abide by this simple promise without hesitation. There were no words, no paper, not even any witnesses. The woman only relied on the trace of conscience and hope in her heart to wait silently and spend her best years alone. But when that man appeared again without warning, he told the woman that her waiting was simply ridiculous. The man had never really wanted to reunite with her, and even spared no effort to hurt the woman with tricky and vicious words in order to clear his responsibility. Yang Cheng felt that if it weren't for Lu Mingyu, who had rich social experience and a generous nature, if it were any other woman, she would have already wanted to commit suicide by jumping off a building at this moment. Sister Mingyu, you're much stronger than I thought, Yang Cheng said sincerely. Lu Mingyu smiled sadly. If I'm not strong, do you want me to cry on the spot? What's the use of crying? It'll only make others laugh at me and make a woman like Wan Yu happy. I'm not that stupid. It's just 7 or 8 years, I can afford it. Although she said so much, sparkling tears still hung on her smooth cheeks. Lu Mingyu took out a tissue to wipe her tears and sweetly said, in order to celebrate that I finally broke free from the boring shackles that bound me, and in order to thank you for kicking him hard for me, I've decided to treat you to a bar for a drink. Do me the honor, Master Yang Cheng. Yang Cheng smiled and nodded. At this time, there was really no reason to refuse this injured woman's small request. After all, after so many years of waiting, Lu Mingyu had almost no friends. Although there were a lot of men who coveted her appearance, there were almost no real male friends. After Yang Cheng drove the car to the nearest bar that looked larger, he and Lu Mingyu walked into the dimly lit interior of the bar. The two chose a seat near the bar counter and sat down. Lu Mingyu directly asked for 4 bottles of Chivas. After filling up Yang Cheng and herself, she began to drink without any scruples. The amber whiskey was like clear water, trickling down the woman's pink sandalwood mouth and down her throat. Yang Cheng didn't drink to his heart's content. First, he was afraid that his brain wasn't working well. Second, he knew that what Lu Mingyu needed was someone's company, to make her feel that she wasn't alone. Gradually, 2 bottles of Chivas were in her stomach. Lu Mingyu's pair of watery eyes were like clear autumn waters, rippling with moving ripples. The seductive figure wrapped in a professional suit displayed a soft and plump charm, attracting many men in the bar to frequently look over. A passionate and hot woman often didn't have the fatal attraction of a ripe peach wrapped in a thick shell. Yang Cheng saw that Lu Mingyu was gradually getting drunk, but he didn't stop her. At this time, giving her a good night was more useful than persuading her with good intentions. Yang Cheng. Lu Mingyu's voice was languid and sweet. She was already a little tongue-tied, sounding especially tender and charming. And, do you know why I always take you to that Cantonese restaurant? Lu Mingyu said with her head tilted. Yang Cheng shook his head. He really didn't know. Lu Mingyu pursed her lips and smiled. Because, when I was in university, that person often took me to eat there. We first met there. The place that was originally the happiest place had now become the place that broke her heart. Yang Cheng picked up the bottle and filled up Lu Mingyu's glass. He said, it starts there and ends there. It's pretty good. Yeah, it's pretty good. Lu Mingyu reached out to take the glass, but her hand didn't use any strength. The glass was caught in midair and fell directly to the ground. Bang, bang. The sound of glass breaking was heard. Lu Mingyu stared blankly at the spilled liquor on the ground for a while. She leaned on the table, her shoulders shook, and she cried loudly. Chapter 176. Yang Cheng quietly watched as Lu Mingyu cried on the table. In the noisy bar, such a scene was not strange. The men and women in the city lived under pressure and always needed a channel to vent. Yang Cheng was just curious as to why Lu Mingyu could cry so much. She waited until the customers at the opposite table changed 2 times, but she still lay on the table and did not get up. Chao Shuachin said that women were made of water, and these words could not be false. Sister Mingyu, it's getting late. Let me take you home. Yang Cheng asked for Lu Mingyu's opinion. In fact, he also had to go home. He had just eased his relationship with Lin Ruoxi, and he could not suddenly play all night. Lu Mingyu finally raised her head. Her eyes were red and swollen, and she reluctantly smiled. Have another drink. After that, Lu Mingyu poured herself another glass of Chivas Regal. After drinking it in one gulp, she stood up shakily and picked up her bag. Let's go. Yang Cheng looked at the remaining half bottle of wine on the table. Well, this woman drank 3 bottles of wine with more than 40% alcohol by herself, and she still did not collapse. No wonder she could become the head of the public relations department. However, it was obvious that Lu Mingyu was struggling to walk. Her soft waist made people worry that she would accidentally fall like a delicate flower. Let me help you, Yang Cheng said, and reached out to support Lu Mingyu's arm. Lu Mingyu did not refuse such an intimate action. She naturally found a support and gently leaned on one side of Yang Cheng's arms. She walked out of the bar step by step. Outside the house, the night wind after the beginning of autumn was chilly. Lu Mingyu tightened her collar and got into the car with Yang Cheng's help. Yang Cheng sat in the driver's seat and asked, Sister Mingyu, where do you live? Lu Mingyu looked at the colorful neon lights outside the window for a long time before turning her head back. In the darkness, she looked at Yang Cheng and asked, What time is it now? 11 o'clock in the evening. Yang Cheng looked at the time on the dashboard. Don't send me home. Find a hotel nearby. If I go back like this, my parents will be worried, Lu Mingyu said. This reason was not good enough. It was more important to get drunk. Wouldn't his parents be worried if he didn't come home at night? But Yang Cheng didn't point it out. Although he felt a little strange in his heart, he nodded and agreed. Yang Cheng found the nearest 4-star hotel. The name was quite elegant. It was called Maple Forest Hotel. After parking the car, he helped Lu Mingyu into the lobby. When the hotel staff saw Lu Mingyu walking unsteadily in Yang Cheng's arms, they all had a look of understanding. They had seen this kind of thing many times and didn't find it strange. Sir, what kind of room would you like to book? The lady at the front desk asked. Yang Cheng thought for a while. He looked at Lu Mingyu, who had no idea, and said, A single room is fine. It's for this lady. The few surrounding staff all had the same thought in their minds. Too stingy. We're going to sleep together, yet you're still so righteous as to choose a cheap bed. But he couldn't just say, You two should choose a big bed if you want to do that. He could only smile and find a single room for Yang Cheng. Yang Cheng took the elevator upstairs with Lu Mingyu and entered the small single room. At this moment, Lu Mingyu was getting more and more dizzy. Her whole body was almost hanging on Yang Cheng's body. She was relying on Yang Cheng to not fall. Yang Cheng carried the woman's heavy and plump body and laid her flat on the single bed. He turned on the bedside light. Under the dim yellow light, Lu Mingyu's watery eyes were slightly open. She was a little drunk and charming. Her cherry mouth breathed in the air and the fragrance of the woman. Because of the heat dissipation from her body, Yang Cheng could smell the rich body fragrance of a mature woman. The smell of hormones was intoxicating. Yang Cheng saw that Lu Mingyu had no intention of sleeping by herself. He thought about it and decided to help her to the end. Since they had already come to this point, he should let her have a good rest. So he walked to the back of the bed and helped Lu Mingyu take off her black leather shoes. Lu Mingyu was wearing flesh-colored pantyhose. Her toes were round and delicate, and her feet were clean and flawless. When Yang Cheng took off her shoes, Lu Mingyu's feet curled up unnaturally. Then she loosened them, revealing a bit of nervousness. Yang Cheng lifted the quilt and covered Lu Mingyu up to her chest. He stood up straight and looked at Lu Mingyu. At this moment, her cheeks were slightly red. Although she was drunk, Lu Mingyu could still feel what happened. Sister Mingyu, I'm leaving first. If you need anything, you can call me. Yang Cheng said and turned to leave. Yang Cheng. Lu Mingyu suddenly called out weakly, Don't go. Stay with me, okay? Just one night. Yang Cheng turned around. He had thought that Lu Mingyu would do this. From the beginning, when she requested to stay in a hotel, he was aware of this layer of meaning. But when he really heard Lu Mingyu make such a request, Yang Cheng was still a bit surprised. The impression that Lu Mingyu gave him had always been that of a big sister in the office. She was dignified and gentle, and occasionally revealed a bit of the hidden charm of a mature woman. She was different from women like Zhao Hongyan and Zhang Kai. She usually dressed more conservatively and spoke less. Most of the time, she just listened to the chatter of other girls and just smiled. This didn't mean that Lu Mingyu lacked a woman's charm. On the contrary, such a temperament made it easier for men to feel the desire to conquer her, hoping to pry open her tough shell. So, when Lu Mingyu asked Yang Cheng to accompany her for one night, Yang Cheng was surprised and a bit excited. Yang Cheng wasn't the legendary Lu Xiaohui, and God knows if the woman Lu Xiaohui hugged was as beautiful as Lu Mingyu. Such a charming woman proposed to spend a night together, and the other party was in a period of emotional distress. If he refused, it would be a stupid and inhumane choice from both his and her standpoint. There were some things that adult men and women could understand easily, especially when it came to cooperation. Okay, Yang Cheng nodded. Then I'll go take a shower first. Lu Mingyu's blushing dimples became even more charming. She replied with a mosquito's whisper and turned her head away without saying anything. Yang Cheng quickly took off his simple clothes and ran into the bathroom in his underwear. In less than 5 minutes, Yang Cheng finished his shower and went out. His lower abdomen was covered with a white towel blanket. He sat on the single bed and looked at Lu Mingyu, who was curled up like a kitten. He asked with a smile, "Don't you want to take a shower?" Lu Mingyu took a deep breath and silently got up. Her drunkenness seemed to have subsided a lot. "Wait for a while, I'm a bit slow." Although Lu Mingyu said she was slow, Yang Cheng still miscalculated. He spent more than half an hour in the bathroom. When Yang Cheng was about to fall asleep and his passion was about to return to zero, the bathroom door opened. Lu Mingyu was wearing the loose pajamas prepared by the hotel. Her long hair was slightly damp. She slowly walked to the front of the bed. Her hands were nervously crossed in front of her chest, squeezing the 2 breasts that were released. She had a smooth and white oval face, and her almond-shaped eyes were charming. She was as shy as a willow, and she didn't dare to look at Yang Cheng. Seeing the woman in front of him, Yang Cheng's rising pajamas disappeared without a trace, and he was lost in thought for a while. Although Lu Mingyu was intellectual and charming with a graceful figure, there was still a big gap between her and the peach in front of him, who exuded a mature charm. Yang Cheng's breathing was a bit heavy. At this time, there was no need for any verbal communication. He knew what he had to do. He quickly got up and hugged Lu Mingyu's full and delicate body and put her on the white sheets of the single bed. Lu Mingyu let out a cry, and Yang Cheng's hot lips blocked her following low moans. The cold petals were squeezed into various shapes by Yang Cheng, and a strong tongue was in the beautiful sandalwood mouth, demanding the bejeweled nectar. The moans and the gasps of the two were continuous. Lu Mingyu had never experienced such a strong, deep kiss, and it was even her first kiss. For a woman who was almost 30 years old, such a kiss was particularly late. As soon as Lu Mingyu touched it, she was reluctant to let go easily. It was not until Yang Cheng's breathing was difficult, and his face was flushed because of the lack of oxygen, that Yang Cheng loosened his mouth. Lu Mingyu's 2 thin lips were already a little red and swollen, and her eyes were blurred. She fell into a drowsy love. Yang Cheng's hands were not idle all the time. He had already pulled off the belt of Lu Mingyu's pajamas, and one of his hands covered the round and perky Everest of Lu Mingyu. The elasticity and the perfect flesh were enough to make Yang Cheng marvel at the magic of the Creator. The size was definitely not something that could be judged by the eyes on a daily basis. Yang Cheng guessed that Lu Mingyu should have this pair of treasures to bind her. Otherwise, these 2 snowy peaks alone were enough to make a large group of men go crazy. "Sister Mingyu, you are so beautiful." Yang Cheng couldn't help but praise her straightforwardly. Lu Mingyu closed her eyes, and her face was shy. But hearing a man's praise in such an environment A woman's heart always felt sweet and happy. Yang Cheng couldn't bear to let go of Lu Mingyu's creamy skin inch by inch. His head was buried deep between the two peaks, and his nose was filled with her sweet fragrance. The soft and delicate touch made people unable to stop. Lu Mingyu's body temperature gradually began to rise, and her blood flowed rapidly. She was panting, and her body was twisting irregularly. Her lower body began to become wet, and it was a little itchy. "Sister Mingyu, do you really want?" Yang Qing couldn't help but ask again. Although he knew that it was a bit silly to ask such a question at this point, the woman in front of him was not the kind of woman he used to casually play with. She was his colleague and friend. As a form of respect, he still wanted to hear the most direct answer. Lu Mingyu suddenly stretched out her slender white arms and wrapped them around Yang Cheng's neck. Her eyes were blurred as she said, "I have already wasted too much of my youth. I can't wait any longer. You are the only man that I don't reject. I don't expect you to be responsible for me. I only hope that when I need you, you can give me an embrace to lean on. Tonight, I belong to you. Tomorrow morning, you will still be you, and I will still be me. Okay?" The woman's words had already reached this point. If Yang Cheng said anything more, he would be committing an act of stupidity. With a swift and violent movement, he tore off the pajamas on Lu Mingyu's body that had long been pulled open. Yang Cheng held his breath as he admired Lu Mingyu's body that was as if it was carved out of white jade. He held her two white and tender thighs that were suffused with pink flesh and slowly pulled them apart, revealing the unbearably miserable fragrant grass. Lu Mingyu tilted her head and bit a corner of the bedding. Her eyes were closed, and her eyelids were constantly trembling. When Yang Cheng's high-spirited dragon horn pierced into the narrow and winding path, Lu Mingyu finally couldn't help but release her mouth and let out a muffled groan. Yang Cheng was about to stop and give Lu Mingyu some time to breathe, but Lu Mingyu suddenly opened her eyes and a pair of hands grabbed onto Yang Cheng's arm. "Don't pity me." With that said, Lu Mingyu took the initiative to borrow strength, straightened her waist, and let the hardness directly sink into the deepest part of her pink and tender body. Yang Cheng's whole body quivered. This kind of stimulation made his eyes a little red, and the manic feeling in his heart couldn't help but want to vent. When Yang Cheng began to wreak havoc on her uncultivated body with all his strength, Lu Mingyu revealed an infinitely charming smile, like a blooming azalea or a scattered red plum on the bedsheet. Chapter 177. The next morning, as the sky turned bright in the east, Yang Cheng woke up and saw Lu Mingyu sitting at the head of the bed. She had already dressed herself up and combed her black hair into a bun. Seeing Yang Cheng sit up with his shirtless upper body, Lu Mingyu, who had just received the nourishment of rain and dew for the first time, didn't feel awkward and calmly smiled at him. "In the past, I read in some magazines that doing this kind of thing is for the man to put in the effort and the woman to enjoy it. Seeing you sleeping so soundly, I now feel that it's true. Doesn't it hurt?" Yang Cheng looked at the woman's bottom with a strange expression. Last night, he had gone crazy. Lu Mingyu shook her head and joked, "I'm already an old woman. What's there to hurt? I just like old women." Yang Cheng said seriously. Lu Mingyu giggled and patted the sheets. "Okay, get up. This hotel has a buffet for breakfast. Let's go to work after eating." 15 minutes later, the two arrived at the buffet downstairs. The buffet of Maple Hotel was quite sumptuous, with many Chinese and Western foods. Yang Cheng took 40 eggs, scooped a big bowl of millet porridge, 2 baskets of steamed buns, 2 steamed buns, a plate of vegetables, and a plate of fruits. He started wolfing down the food. Lu Mingyu only took a plate of vegetable salad and used Honey Master's salad dressing, a typical girl's way of eating. Yang Cheng felt a little weird and frowned. "You're eating a salad so early in the morning, it's not enough calories. You don't need to lose weight, eat something else. The salad dressing is sweet and has calories. Moreover, I don't need to lose weight, I need to maintain my figure," Lu Mingyu said. Yang Cheng stuffed a peeled tea egg into the woman's plate. "As a man who has touched your entire body, I need you to put on some weight." Lu Mingyu blushed and looked around to make sure no one heard and complained, What are you talking about? I told you yesterday, after this, you are you and I am me. Don't interfere with each other. We're just colleagues, nothing else. How could yesterday and today be the same? Is the me from yesterday and the me from today still the same to you? Do you know how different you are to me now and yesterday? Yang Qing asked while looking at Lu Mingyu. Lu Mingyu silently lowered her head and couldn't say a word. There are some things that can't be done just by saying it. I think you can't do it, and I can't do it either, Yang Chen said seriously. Lu Mingyu raised her head, picked up the silver fork in her hand, and stabbed it into the herbal tea egg. She raised it up, opened her mouth, and bit into it. Chewing, she said, "I'll eat it, okay? That's a good girl." Yang Chung smiled and took a big bite of the steamed bun. But not long after, a familiar and surprised voice appeared behind Yang Chung. "Mr. Yang?" Yang Chung turned around and was surprised to see the woman who suddenly appeared in the restaurant. Miss Tang. It was Tang Wan, whom he met during the bank robbery the day before yesterday, but Tang Wan seemed to have changed her hairstyle. Her wavy hair was straightened and combed softly behind her head. She was wearing a tight black suit with a deep opening at the chest, revealing a light yellow bra inside. She was so fashionable that it was impossible to tell her real age. What a coincidence. Are you also staying in this hotel? Yang Chung asked. Tang Wan came forward and glanced at Lu Mingyu, who was opposite Yang Chung. There was some meaning in her eyes. She smiled and said, "Mr. Yang is really forgetful. Didn't you notice that the name of this hotel is exactly the same as the name of my club when you played with Miss Amo in my club?" Yang Chung just remembered that Tang Wan's private super big club seemed to be called Maple Forest. Miss Tang's business is really everywhere. Are you going to work? Tang Wan smiled and shook her head. I just happened to come here for an inspection this morning. I didn't expect to see Mr. Yang. I don't know who this beautiful lady is. Lu Mingyu, who noticed the appearance of Tang Wan early in the morning, didn't expect this woman who looked like a gentle lady to really know Yang Chung. It wasn't until Tang Wan and Yang Chung greeted each other with a smile that Lu Mingyu felt a burst of jealousy in her heart. After all, Tang Wan's face and figure were better than hers, especially the kind of grace, nobility, and elegance. It was impossible to cultivate such a temperament if one was not born in a rich family. He is really a lecher who flirts everywhere. Women have no power to resist. However, when Lu Mingyu thought that she was also a woman who had an extramarital relationship with him, and she even took the initiative to invite him to have a relationship with her, she was relieved. Who cares? It was never me alone. What's there to be jealous about? Even if there was someone to eat, it would be his unlucky wife. If Lu Mingyu knew that Yang Chen's unlucky wife was her immediate superior, the CEO whom she respected and idolized, Lu Mingyu would probably faint. After thinking about this, seeing that Tang Wan asked about herself, Lu Mingyu directly smiled gently and reached out to Tang Wan. Lu Mingyu, Yang Cheng's colleague. It's nice to meet you, Miss Lu. My name is Tang Wan. Tang Wan also shook hands generously. Yang Chung felt that the eye contact between the two women was full of a strange atmosphere, but as a man, he couldn't see through their respective thoughts. After Tang Wan and Lu Mingyu said a few polite words, she said to Yang Chung, I haven't been able to thank Mr. Yang solemnly last time. I hope Mr. Yang can come and let Tang Wan invite Mr. Yang for a meal next time. There's no need. Miss Tang is also a busy person. It's not a big deal to say that again. Yang Chung felt that it was very awkward to be with Tang Wan. After all, he couldn't hook up with her at the beginning, so there was always a psychological shadow. For Mr. Yang, it's not a big deal, but for Tang Wan, it's a matter of life and death. If I was persecuted by that group of gangsters that day, I wouldn't be standing here today. Please don't refuse, Mr. Yang. Tang Wan said with a firm look. Yang Chung was embarrassed to refuse again, so he had to agree. Tang Wan had to continue to inspect the various works of the hotel, so she left first. After eating breakfast with Lu Mingyu, Yang Chung returned his card and left the hotel. On the way to the company, he bought a bunch of breakfast. When they were about to reach the company, Lu Mingyu asked, You saved Mr. Tang's life before? And I just beat up a few thieves. It's not a big deal, Yang Chung said casually. Hero saving the damsel in distress. Shouldn't there be a follow-up to this kind of drama? Lu Mingyu held it in for a while, but she still couldn't help but ask. That Miss Tang wouldn't have that kind of relationship with you, right? What's the relationship? Yang Chen asked as he drove. Just our kind of relationship, Lu Mingyu said with a vague tone. Yang Chen laughed weirdly. Our relationship? I remember someone said before that other than colleagues, we don't want any other relationship. Lu Mingyu gritted her teeth angrily. Forget it if you don't want to answer. Put away your curiosity. If I said that I don't have any thoughts about a woman like Miss Tang, that would be impossible. But we really just know each other. Lu Mingyu sighed silently in her heart. This man can be shrewd when he's smart, but he can also be stupid when he's slow. Can't he see that Tang Wan's feelings for him are not limited to just knowing each other? When the car drove into the indoor parking lot of Yulei International, in order to avoid causing unnecessary trouble, Yang Cheng drove to the top floor, where there were fewer people. But when he got off the car with Lu Mingyu, Yang Chun suddenly felt a chill down his spine. Turning his head around, he saw that the elevator leading to the company's building not far away was slowly closing its doors. This wasn't the main point. The main point was that the figure standing in the elevator was like a flawless ice sculpture. It was Lin Ruoshi. Yang Cheng watched as the elevator door closed. Lin Ruoshi's cold and piercing gaze made his heart pound. Oh my God, his luck was too bad. Why did this chick have to stop at the top floor as well? And she just happened to see him and Lu Mingyu getting off the car at this time. Thinking about how he didn't return home last night for no reason, and how he was caught coming to work with another woman today, Yang Cheng's head started to hurt. He had coaxed her for the past 2 days for nothing. Lu Mingyu saw Yang Cheng standing there with a bitter smile and asked in confusion, "What's wrong?" Yang Cheng came back to his senses and smiled calmly. "It's nothing. I'm mainly worried about the future development of the company. So I'm standing there thinking about the blueprint for my work. You know, I'm very serious about my work." Chapter 178. Originally, he thought that after his relationship with Lu Mingyu was exposed, there would be a storm or a world of ice and snow. But in fact, Yang Cheng realized that he didn't suffer any disasters. The reason was simple. Yulei International's long-awaited fall fashion show had officially opened. At the same time, there were also other fashion product exhibitions and product exchanges. Lin Ruoshi didn't have time to care about him at all. The entire Zhonghai International Convention and Exhibition Center was surrounded by Yulei's iconic advertisements. The smiling faces of the beautiful women in the company made countless ordinary people and the employees and bosses of other companies jealous. As the most leisurely member of the PR department, Yang Cheng could only bite the bullet and do some work in this situation where there was a shortage of manpower. But the work he did was easy. He only had to help a few beautiful female commentators translate the conversations of some business partners from smaller languages. For Yang Cheng, moving his mouth was acceptable. Moreover, listening to all kinds of familiar foreign accents, he felt a little nostalgic. The climax of the exhibition was naturally CEO Lin Ruoshi's speech on the stage. When Lin Ruoshi, who was wearing a black business suit, a white shirt, and a pink flower pinned on her chest, walked onto the stage, the audience's exclamations and applause mixed together, forming a strange atmosphere. In fact, as the CEO of Yulei International, Lin Ruoshi would receive the attention of the fashion industry from all sides. But because of her personality and conservative personal style, the outside world's news about this beautiful CEO was pitiful. Many entertainment media used to secretly report some of Lin Ruoshi's private life in the past. But this ruthless and direct woman, with a net worth of tens of billions, was said to have directly acquired those newspapers and media and joined Yulei's fashion publishing business chain. After that, there were very few media outlets that dared to spread news about Lin Ruoshi without her consent. After all, the entertainment media's gossip magazines were small businesses and couldn't afford to be tossed around by big capitalists. And those large state-owned media, who would be so stupid as to offend a cold and ruthless female capitalist with an unpredictable background. Therefore, for most of the people present, it was their first time seeing Lin Ruoshi, and they were still shocked by the beautiful face that appeared on the big screen. Lin Ruashi looked at the huge venue with her usual ice-cold eyes. She didn't show any gentleness or warmth just because the other party was her client and business partner. However, these people did not have much dissatisfaction in their hearts. After all, the other party's strength was there for all to see. To put it bluntly, the rich were the masters. Even if she was arrogant, there was a reason for her arrogance, not to mention that she was so beautiful. Today, I am standing here. This is my first public speech as the chairman of the board of directors of Ulay International and the president of the company. Following the silence, Lin Ruashi began to speak in a clear voice. I'm not good with words, and I don't like to read manuscripts written by others. So, I'll make it short. In the past few years, apart from a few key negotiations where I personally participated, most of the company's business collaborations were handled by the public relations department and the various branch heads. Regarding this, many of my colleagues here, and those who couldn't come, have doubts and speculations about my personal style, thinking that I don't respect the cooperation and communication between companies. Today, I specially came up on stage to clarify this misunderstanding. The reason why I didn't participate in those activities was just that my personality wasn't suitable. I'm not good at socializing and communicating with people. However, every contract that was submitted, I personally strictly reviewed and corrected my opinions, striving to achieve the maximum win-win situation. I think that companies with experience in cooperation should understand. If you can't understand, you can choose to terminate the cooperation with each other. However, if your company is going to harm the interests of the majority because of my personal reasons, I think that choice is not in line with the interests of the team. Now, I'd like to announce that, as usual, this exhibition cooperation project will be handled by the Public Relations Department of Ulay International. The marketing department will be in charge of supporting the execution. Our vice president, the former head of the Public Relations Department, Miss Mo Chinni, will preside over the meeting. Thank you, everyone. After finishing her speech, Lin Ruashi bowed slightly, then conveniently walked down the stage and disappeared. The speech was so short that no one could come back to their senses. It didn't even give the audience a chance to applaud. It wasn't until Mo Chinni walked up the stage with a helpless smile and coughed twice into the microphone that the audience realized that the CEO's speech had ended. Yang Cheng, who was standing at the entrance of the exhibition hall, stood together with a group of beauties from the Public Relations Department. After watching Lin Ruashi's so cool speech, the group of beauties actually revealed an infatuated expression. Looking at the guests inside, there were actually quite a number of people who were applauding and praising, but he didn't know what they were praising about. Yang Cheng was puzzled and asked Zhang Kai, who was beside him, "Hey, that can also be considered a speech? What do you guys like about her?" Zhang Kai rolled her eyes at him. "You don't understand. That's her personal charm. Our General Lin has always been like that. I heard that when General Lin first took office, she only said one sentence in the board meeting," a gossipy pretty girl whispered. The other girls also chattered and asked which sentence she said. After the pretty girl's vanity was satisfied, she cleared her throat and said, "I also heard it from the seniors. It said that General Lin knew that many of the senior members of the board and the backbone of the company didn't recognize her leadership ability. So at the meeting, he said, those who want to work, stay, and those who want to leave, don't send them off." The group of young girls exclaimed in infatuation again. Yang Cheng finally understood that he couldn't use his normal way of thinking to understand Lin Ruashi's work style. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to stand it. Not long after, on the podium, Mo Chinni had already started her speech on the actual situation. The other staff members of Ulay International also started to get busy. Yang Cheng was planning to sneak out for lunch when his phone rang. He opened it and saw that it was a text from Lin Ruashi, asking him to meet her at a high-class hotel near the convention center. This was the first time Lin Ruashi had sent him a text. In the past, no matter how cold she was, she would still give him a call. Yang Cheng grumbled in his heart. She was probably still angry, or maybe she had been holding it in and didn't intend to let it go. But he had to go anyway. Seeing that there was nothing else, he slipped away. After driving around in circles, he arrived at the entrance of the hotel. When he arrived at the luxuriously decorated hall, he found Lin Ruoshi sitting on a sofa in the corner waiting for him. Seeing him enter, she picked up her handbag and walked over slowly. Su Jihong invited me for a private dinner to celebrate the success of the exhibition. I couldn't refuse, so I invited you, Lin Ruoshi said indifferently. It was hard to tell what she was feeling. It had been a long time since he had any dealings with Su Jihong. Yang Cheng had almost forgotten about that guy. This guy was getting more and more unkind. Last time, he sent a killer, but he didn't even apologize. This time, he invited him to dinner. Did he think everyone was a fool? After a moment of silence, Yang Cheng stretched out his arm and smiled at Lin Ruoshi. Lin Ruoshi hesitated for a moment, but still took Yang Cheng's hand and moved closer to him. However, her face was facing the outside, and she didn't look at Yang Cheng at all. As the two walked upstairs to the reserved room, Yang Cheng asked, "Babe Ruoshi, you have tens of billions in assets. Why don't you hire a few bodyguards? What if you encounter kidnappers? As long as I keep a low profile and don't show my face, no one will recognize me. My grandma didn't hire bodyguards, and I won't hire one either." Lin Ruoshi replied. Yang Cheng agreed. He patted his chest and said, "Don't worry. Whoever kidnapped you, I'll save you." Lin Ruoshi coldly glanced at him. "You have so many women outside. Can you save them all?" These words made Yang Cheng choke. As expected, she came. She had been sulking all this time. Smiling awkwardly, Yang Cheng could only retreat for now. He could only wait for the woman's anger to subside. When they reached the door of the room, Harry Ball, with his usual messy hair and unshaven beard, was already standing there with a smile, waiting for them to enter. "Miss Lin, Mr. Yang, our family's young master has been waiting for a long time," Harry Ball said with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. His gaze swept over Yang Cheng with great interest. Yang Cheng knew that what happened in Hong Kong must have fallen into their ears. Therefore, it was normal for Harry Ball to be especially interested in his skills. The two walked into the room. Su Jihong was adjusting a large LED TV. The TV screen was showing the situation inside the exhibition center. "Ruoshi, Mr. Yang, welcome." Su Jihong greeted them with a smile. He didn't feel awkward at all because of Yang Cheng's appearance. Lin Ruoshi simply nodded her head. She sat on the guest seat and quietly watched the TV. Although they had already left the exhibition center, Lin Ruoshi was still more concerned about the situation inside. Su Jihong was also clear about Lin Ruoshi's preferences. He didn't rush to let the waiters serve the dishes. Instead, he left Yang Cheng at the side and talked to Lin Ruoshi about the situation of the exhibition, as well as the follow-up projects of the cooperation, etc. Lin Ruoshi became serious when it came to talking about work. She chatted with Su Jihong every now and then. Because he didn't understand these businesses, Yang Cheng could only sit on the chair at the side and stare blankly. Looking at the situation, Su Jihong planned to treat him as heir and ignore him for a while. Yang Cheng's mouth slightly raised. He directly patted the table with his palm. "President Su, you guys continue to talk. Can I order some snacks to eat? It's boring sitting here." Su Jihong had been fooled by Yang Cheng before. He was especially careful as he was extorted. He tried to ask politely, "What does Mr. Yang need?" "Give me a bottle of ordinary domestic red wine and some caviar. We will eat after you guys finish talking. How about that?" Red wine and caviar were not considered high-end products. Domestic red wine was at most $100. As for caviar, it seemed to be a high-end product, but now it could be found all over the world. Anything with fish eggs was called caviar. "Mr. Yang, feel free," Su Jihong said generously and ignored Yang Cheng. Lin Ruoshi looked at Yang Cheng with disappointment. She wanted to use the conversation with Su Jihong to stimulate Yang Cheng and let Yang Cheng participate in business-related discussions or learn some theoretical knowledge after realizing his own shortcomings. She didn't expect that this valuable knowledge and experience couldn't be compared to a bottle of red wine and a plate of caviar. After Yang Cheng happily ordered a bottle of red wine and a plate of caviar from a waiter, he sat in his seat and enjoyed it alone. At this time, Su Jihong inadvertently looked back and immediately found something wrong. Chapter 179. The caviar on Yang Cheng's plate was round and plump, and its color was clear and transparent, even faintly glowing with a golden luster. This kind of caviar was definitely not ordinary. High-quality caviar was called black gold because of this characteristic. Su Jihong finally realized that he had overlooked something, and that was he did not ask Yang Cheng what kind of caviar he wanted. With a heart full of anxiety, Su Jihong smiled and asked Yang Cheng, "Mr. Yang, the caviar you ordered looks pretty good." Yang Cheng was stuffing his mouth with a spoon. He gulped down another mouthful of red wine, which tasted great. He rolled his tongue and said in enjoyment, "Yeah, the caviar of the great white sturgeon from the Caspian Sea really tastes different. I have to thank Boss Su for your hospitality." He, the Caspian Sea's white sturgeon? Su Jihong's face suddenly darkened, and he was on the verge of going berserk. In the eyes of the French, who were the most infatuated with caviar, there were only 3 kinds of sturgeon eggs in the world that could be made into qualified caviar. These 3 kinds of fish were beluga, osietra, and sevruga. The highest grade of beluga, which was the white sturgeon, was produced less than 100 times a year, and only beluga over 60 years old could be made into caviar. Among them, the white sturgeon produced in the Caspian Sea between Russia and Iran was the most precious. This kind of caviar, in the market, could easily reach a price of more than $2,000 per 100 grams. This also meant that within the borders of Huaxia, eating such luxurious food, including the various taxes, storage, and transportation costs, the price of each bite was no different from gold. "Mr. Yang, you really know how to enjoy life." Su Jihong forcefully held his breath and said with gritted teeth. If it were not for Lin Ruoshi by his side, he suspected that he would have let Harry Ball close the door and secretly kill this guy who repeatedly provoked him. "Damn it! Pervert! Be asterisk starred." Su Jihong roared in his heart. Spending tens of thousands was fine, and he would not care about that, but it had to be for this man who was his enemy in the open and in the dark. How could he not be angry? Yang Cheng waved his hand. "Not at all. CEO Su, do you want a bite too? There are still a few left on my plate." How many? Did he think it was popcorn? Su Jihong almost spat out a mouthful of blood again. He forced a smile and said, "No need. Mr. Yang can keep it for himself." After that, he didn't give Yang Cheng a chance to speak and directly waved to the waiter, "Serve the dishes. Serve the dishes." Su Jihong had to finish his meal quickly so that Yang Cheng could leave. Otherwise, he was afraid that he would really not be able to resist pulling out a gun. When Lin Ruoshi saw that Su Jihong had lost his composure, she remained expressionless, but she felt very comfortable in her heart. After all, she had always been extremely repulsed by what Su Jihong had done in the past. Due to the need of work, they could only talk calmly. Lin Ruoshi vented her anger. When she looked at Yang Cheng again, her gaze softened a little. She just felt that if Yang Cheng could spend his time messing with Su Jihong on work, she wouldn't have to worry about these things all the time. They finished their lunch very quickly. Su Jihong practically sent the 2 of them out of the door in a hurry. His smile was uglier than crying. It was impossible to guard against. It was impossible to guard against. They had accidentally been cheated of tens of thousands of yuan by this scoundrel. When they walked out of the hotel, Lin Ruoshi seemed to be relieved of a heavy burden. "It's actually very risky for you to do this. Su Jihong isn't the kind of person who is afraid of trouble. If he really falls out with you, I'm afraid that things won't be as simple as they seem." "Are you worried about me?" asked Yang Cheng. "I just don't want you to keep your mind on messing with those people. Why can't you calm down and learn how to manage?" Lin Ruoshi corrected herself. Yang Cheng shrugged. "Aren't I doing something serious now? At least I was the one who negotiated the collaboration with Chang Lin and Mu Yun this time." Speaking of this, Lin Ruoshi reminded him, "Li Muhua will personally lead a team to Zhonghai next Monday to sign the final agreement. At that time, you'll be the main person in charge, so you must be there. Don't be too careless. Don't worry. Since I promised you, I'll do it well. Where are we going next?" Lin Ruoshi thought for a while. "Get in my car. We're going somewhere else." Yang Cheng didn't ask where Lin Ruoshi was going. He figured that the place she needed him to go was probably a place where she needed a shield. Soon, the two of them arrived at the ground floor of Zhonghai's Emperor Building. This building was famous for being a high-end shopping center. Every floor was either a high-end KTV, conference center, or a high-end clubhouse. Following Lin Ruoshi into the building, Yang Cheng could see that the staff of the building were all beautiful young women with graceful figures and wearing cheongsams, or handsome men in suits and ties. It was enough to show the importance of serving their clients. We're holding a small cocktail party in the clubhouse on the top floor to entertain the representatives of some big projects. Originally, Chinny was going to attend on my behalf, but now that she's out early, it's better for me to come and take a look in person. I asked you to come with me because I hope that you can interact more with the elites of these big companies. It might be of great help to you in the future. Lin Ruoshi explained as they walked. The signing of the agreement next week will also be held here. I'll bring you around to familiarize yourself with the lower floors. Then if I go in with you, what kind of identity would that be? Yang Cheng asked with a smile. Lin Ruoshi paused, pursed her lips, and said softly, as the person in charge of an important project, you don't have to explain too much. Yang Cheng already knew this answer, so he didn't care too much. It would be strange if Lin Ruoshi suddenly announced to the world that he was her husband. After all, although their relationship had improved, there were still many obstacles between them. When they arrived at the entrance of the clubhouse on the top floor, Yang Cheng was a little stunned because the name of this clubhouse was Maple Forest again. It can't be Tang Wan's again, can it? Yang Cheng mumbled to himself as he followed Lin Ruoshi into the clubhouse. They walked past a few large indoor potted plants and entered the hall. At this time, there were already dozens of people in the hall holding champagne and cocktails. Seeing Lin Ruoshi enter the hall, many people were surprised, but they were all experienced in social occasions, so they didn't immediately surround her. Only a few people walked up to greet Lin Ruoshi, and after some compliments, they talked about business. Yang Cheng's appearance didn't attract many people's attention. After a few people simply greeted him, they focused their attention on Lin Ruoshi, who rarely appeared in public. On the other side, Emo Chinny, who had already been entertaining the guests, also noticed Yang Cheng entering the venue. She was a little surprised, but seeing that Lin Ruoshi was there, she had to continue chatting with the guests, pretending not to see him. Yang Cheng was also happy to be free. Just when he wanted to find a secluded place to sit down and eat some fruits, he saw Tang Wan, who was wearing a black and red off-shoulder gown, walk out from a small room with a sexy and graceful smile on her face. Mr. Yang, we meet again so soon. Many people knew Tang Wan. After all, Tang Wan had connections in Zhonghai that couldn't be ignored, and she was a strong woman with strong assets. As for her complicated background, it also made people stay away from her. So when they found that she took the initiative to talk to a strange man, many people began to speculate whether Yang Cheng and Tang Wan had any secrets. Lin Ruoshi, who had been secretly paying attention to Yang Cheng, saw this scene and frowned slightly. Yang Cheng finally understood what it meant to be everywhere. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry as he asked, "Miss Tang, can you tell me how many properties you have?" Tang Wan was stunned for a moment. Then she giggled and said, "To be honest, I don't know how many properties I have. Many places are rarely visited once a year, so I can't tell you. If Mr. Yang is tired of seeing me all the time, then Tang Wan will leave immediately." "How can that be? I'm already very satisfied if Miss Tang doesn't get tired of seeing me." Yang Cheng also knew that he probably didn't have a good image in the eyes of Tang Wan. Tang Wan pursed her lips and smiled. "Mr. Yang, do you remember what you promised me last time?" Yang Cheng thought for a moment. "Let's have dinner together." "Yes, but Mr. Yang didn't give me his contact information until the end. This time, you won't leave without saying a word, right?" Tang Wan said with some bitterness. Yang Cheng was a little embarrassed. He smiled and took out his mobile phone and exchanged phone numbers with Tang Wan. When the guests saw this scene, they immediately had a better understanding of Yang Cheng. Emo Chinny was so angry that she wanted to stamp her feet. "This guy, in front of me and his wife, he even wants to hook up with another woman. Also, when did he suddenly get to know Tang Wan?" Lin Ruoshi's eyes became more and more unfriendly, and at the same time, she was full of worries. As the owner of the club, Tang just made a guest appearance and left the banquet hall not long after. When she left, she gave Yang Cheng a slightly meaningful look, obviously reminding Yang Cheng not to forget the agreement. In the evening, after the banquet was over, Yang Cheng and Lin Ruoshi returned to the car together. The car was not started. Lin Ruoshi held the steering wheel and was silent for a long time. She said, "Yang Cheng, don't be like Tang Wan, okay?" "Like what?" Yang Cheng asked curiously. Lin Ruoshi took a deep breath, looked at the steering wheel, and said unnaturally, "I admit that I can't accept you immediately. So if you find other women outside, although I will feel uncomfortable in my heart, I will not forcibly stop you. Because I haven't paid anything, so I am not qualified. But Tang Wan can't. She is not an ordinary woman. You may not know her background, but why do you think such a beautiful woman is always alone? I hope you will think about it carefully. Don't treat her like other women just because she is beautiful." Yang Cheng smiled. "Baby Ruoshi, you think too much. I and Tang Wan are just ordinary acquaintances. Hearing what you said, it seems that I am really a beast who thinks about women all day." Yang Cheng. Lin Ruoshi turned around abruptly and stared at him solemnly. "I'm begging you, don't come into contact with Tang Wan anymore, or else. "Otherwise what?" Yang Cheng frowned and asked. He had never seen Lin Ruoshi care so much about a woman. She even used the word beg for his sake, lowering herself to him. Lin Ruoshi whispered, "Otherwise, if something happens, it will be difficult for me to protect you." "Protect me?" Yang Cheng didn't understand for a moment. "What do you mean?" "There are some people behind Tang, one that you can't afford to offend. Even if I use Yulei as my trump card, I may not be a match for those people. If they want to harm you because of Tang Wan, I don't know what to do. So, I beg you, even if you look for other women, inside the company or outside the company, I can turn a blind eye, but don't look for Tang Wan, okay?" Lin Ruoshi's tone carried a hint of pleading. Yang Shin couldn't help but be stunned by the deep worry in her voice. As a wife, asking her husband to look for other women was already giving Yang Cheng a headache. This was a kind of relaxed and indulgent attitude. But wasn't it because they were not close enough and didn't care enough? This made Yang Cheng feel a little defeated, but he was deeply touched by Lin Ruoshi saying that she would protect him. Ever since he was young, it had always been him protecting himself, or he protecting others. In fact, in Yang Cheng's world, there was almost no one in the world who could protect him. So, from the moment he married Lin Ruoshi, Yang Cheng subconsciously wanted to protect this woman, even if this woman refused to admit that he was her husband. No one would ever say, "I want to protect you." But unexpectedly, in Lin Ruoshi's heart, it had always been her who wanted to protect him. In Lin Ruoshi's view, it didn't matter that Yang Cheng had no money or status. In Zhonghai, he was just an overseas returnee. Although he was good at fighting, it was difficult for two fists to fight against four hands. So, at the critical moment, he still needed her to help him. From the beginning when they first met and brought Yang Cheng out of the police station, Lin Ruoshi had been doing this. Thinking back to these days, Lin Ruoshi also solved all kinds of troubles for him. And at the same time, she always urged him to study and make progress. Wasn't this also because she hoped that Yang Cheng could better protect her? She had never seen Yang Cheng's strength, and Yang Cheng didn't intend to show his unusual side to Lin Ruoshi. So, between them, it actually formed a situation where they wanted to protect each other. The love between a man and a woman was divided into three types: passion, friendship, and responsibility. Often, between a husband and wife, a sweet love could make them stay together, and the only thing that could make them grow old together was the word responsibility. Yang Cheng and Lin Ruoshi were different. They directly skipped the sweet part, and it wasn't passion either. Instead, they directly switched to responsibility. They both wanted to be responsible for each other. Looking at Lin Ruoshi's beautiful and cold beauty and her watery eyes, Yang Cheng's heart was surrounded by a warm feeling. At the same time, he also felt a strong sense of family responsibility. He was a man, and he shouldn't always let his woman worry about him. Taking out a cigarette from his pocket, he didn't care that he was in a car, and slowly lit it for himself. He took a puff. Amidst the lingering smoke, Yang Chung calmed his mind and solemnly said, Ruashi, I promise you, I will never let the dangerous situation that you mentioned happen. Moreover, in the future, don't say anything about you protecting me. I swear, there will never be a situation where I need you to protect me. Only I will protect you. You still won't listen to me, right? Lin Ruashi said dejectedly. Yang Chung smiled and reached out his finger to scratch Lin Ruashi's smooth pink face. Are you free tonight, wife? Let's go on a date.